What's going on, everyone? I was sitting here talking and this whole stream was muted the whole time. I'm just sitting here by my lonesome self. Or am I? What's going on, Bill?
What's happening? I'm looking at the best, and I say this on KGRA Radio too, the best lunar planetary stream on YouTube, period.
And I wanted to get Bill on tonight because we haven't heard from him in a while. You've been stagnant.
Another thing, just before we get going, prayers for Dave Shock.
Oh, I know
what he's going through.
I did see he got his oxygen machine though that he needed.
Thankfully he did. Thankfully, because he's dependent on that, I believe, for the next 4 to 6 weeks. So it's good to hear that he got that going, and he's had some medical issues, and we wish him the best and our prayers, and hope he gets better. And we need him. We need him in the field. Even Mark Dencio was telling me. He said, "Bill, did you hear about Dave?" I said, "Yeah." I said, he said, even Mark said this. He is so important, and he is. In this whole field, especially concerning the CubeSat.
Yeah.
Because it's not just the moon. I mean, it's not just the Earth that they're going to be observing. But then there's next year, and I'm sure Dave spoke with you. If not, they're going to hear it now. But even already, people are lining up and getting ready for next year for a CubeSat mission for the moon.
Yeah.
How awesome would that be?
Not only that, but I know some physics guys and some guys that kind of like to run over data that are just waiting to get their hands on the data coming back from the current one, the current CubeSat.
Yep. And again, supposedly, there's some people that are getting involved. The thing that's involved with this field, and you know this, and even Mark was thinking about this, and he said, "Bill, you know something? UFOTOG is maybe just will not work." Because when you have the acronym UFO, more acceptable today, but still they know what you're talking about is UAP. Yep. But when people, especially sponsors, people that you want to put some financial backing on a project, they see that UFO and they're like,
Yeah, they don't want that term anywhere near it. It's almost like it's
taboo.
Yeah.
You don't want to touch it. Because it's all about reputation, because now especially with everything that's going on in the media, but everything comes out. So, I mean, it'll be out. This company, such and such, Google sponsors UFO. It might be more acceptable because I think people will be like, "Wow, Google really?" I mean, I think that would be awesome because it would bring awareness to a lot of people that focus in. Because how many people are involved with Google? I know a lot of people may not use their search engine, but you got to remember. A lot of products are made by the Google company.
Oh yeah, I mean they're just top of the umbrella.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Inadvertently, I think it would be a great thing because it would get more people saying, if Google is interested in this topic, maybe this is something we may need to take another look at or look at it seriously and objectively, of course. Because if there was real evidence, Keith, it'd be everywhere. It'd be the thing that changes everything that goes around this planet right now. Everything will stop. All the focus and attention is going to be like, what? I could just see it like some rock star says, what?
Yeah.
You can imagine everybody's going to, it's going to take everybody aback in different ways. People are going to react differently. But I have yet, and even the stuff I've captured, I would never say it's a an alien craft. It's unidentified UFO, which I don't like using. UAP is better. But I'm not going to make a claim at saying that's an alien craft. You can't.
Well, just the videos that we've caught. I've caught a bunch of crap just for calling it a UFO, and it's like, well, that's exactly what it is. We can't confirm or coordinate satellite data to say it's definitely a satellite. We can't prove that it's water on the lens or a bug crawling down the lens, so we have to call it what it is as we see it. And then people are like, well, that's not a UFO, and you have to literally go through the comments and say, listen, that's exactly what it is. It's unidentified. It was flying, looked like it was flying, and it was an object. But they automatically think aliens, and then of course you have your smart asses and people that just want to.
Look, last night I produced a show, and the guest was talking about Pleiadians. I don't even know how to pronounce the thing. And I'm listening objectively. I mean, and you just reach your own personal opinion afterwards. it's one of those things, and it's you respect what other people have to say. I mean, this is something that they're involved in. I mean, and we're not talking about flat earthers or anything else, just to make that clear.
Yeah, we did that the other night.
Yeah. Did you?
Oh no. Yeah, we went right in on it. Me and Mark were just like, whatever. We're going in on it, and
oh my God.
We decided to because we had the flat earthers, and even I mean, I have to. There's a one of these main flat earther guys. The guy's name's Eric Dubay. Okay. And I have to give the guy some respect because I actually saw that he went on his channel. He said, listen, guys, these chat bombs that you all are doing aren't working. They're turning more people off to it than anything. So he actually was telling people to stop doing the whole chat bombs of flat earth and all that stuff, which I kind of respected the guy for. I was like, okay. So truly, by looking at him and listening to what he said, I truly do believe he believes, it. So I can't really fault the guy for that. Exactly.
That's their. Yeah. It's something that they strongly believe in. You can't. I would never discriminate about somebody's belief whatsoever. That's their right. If that's their.
But
I'm waiting for the boundary to be crossed.
When you come in to say an educational channel or just a regular feed and start blurting out and throwing links and talking about how this is fake and the Earth's not round and we're all being duped and we're all a bunch of sheep and that's that to me crosses the line. Now we've had plenty of people come into the chat that were actually respectable, flat earthers. They just wanted to talk about it, and most of the times our guys will, entertain that and just tell them the different beliefs, and usually it's fine. But when you got those, psychotic flat earthers that
yeah, I mean, they get out of hand, and it's kind of disrespectful just to come into somebody's channel, start ranting, and going off on a tangent like that. I mean,
look what Paul's got going on right now.
Oh, and are you doing any kind of filtration or anything now?
Yeah.
Okay. That looks. Oh my!
I'm running the STEM system, and
how far? Where's the moon now?
It's up there pretty good. It's about 35 degrees up. So I mean, we got a while.
A little time, and he's got open. I mean, he's on top of a roof. For God's sake! He's got perfect viewing aspect. So, and the weather looks like it's okay in Miami, eh?
Yeah, he said it cleared out. It's this time of the year you can never tell in Miami. And I'm hoping. I tried to look at the forecast. The forecast says 75% chance or 20% chance of showers on Saturday. If it ends up being clear, we're going to try to have Amy Title on Saturday night.
Oh, cool. Well, I got a big party going on here. Oh boy,
partying it up, huh?
And you know me when I go and do these things. You know how I can't. Does Bill ever sit down? Do I ever sit down?
We were seriously considering beating you with something to knock you out for a little bit, so you would relax.
Oh man! So I'll be really busy, and right now I'm actually running KJRA, and I gotta actually check my. I'm glad I'm not streaming because that would be insane to do all that with everything running.
You know what I need you to do? I know you've told me this 1,000 times, and I've asked you 1,000 times, but I do not want to. I don't want to accidentally broadcast something that I'm not supposed to.
You have.
So if you can give me a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and just say don't broadcast during this time. I know you tell me every time, and I forget to write it down.
Okay. Since Jimmy Church has his archive on his own website, that is his property, intellectual property. That's his, I guess copyrighted material when he streams his show.
Holy crap!
So we can. That's the only show.
So Dolan show's okay.
Yes, I already spoke to Race about this.
Okay, so Jimmy Church is the only one.
The only one. 10 to 1 our time, Mondays through Thursday.
Yeah, that's a hard hit time for me too. 10 to 1.
Yep.
But hey, I mean, it'll come in handy in the wintertime when we start broadcasting around 6 or so.
I mean, you can always go to the archive and pick select shows and download them and have the file and play them like I do. I'll play a show anywhere. I'll just say, hey, we're going to listen to a replay of Jamie and I when we had blah, blah, blah. So you can do that. Pick and choose the guests that have been on numerous shows. I mean,
I would like to.
I was going to ask you if you want to go on a show with, if not yourself, with Paul, because I can get you on a 1-hour gig. And I'll go on the air too, asking stuff. So, because I'm,
we had talked about that. I don't think we're ready for that yet.
All right, well, when you are
right,
you've got the way to go right here.
Look what this insane guy is doing. Holy crap.
What's going on? I was looking at KGRA. Hold on.
I mean...
Oh, my. That's awesome. Look at that.
Paul is on point tonight.
Wow. That is an amazing shot right there.
And, you know, I switched the side that my microphone is on. And I was telling people this the other night. And now, since I'm running the laptop for the YouTube stream to see the comments and whatnot, or the chat, now I got to, like, completely turn my head. But what's up to everybody in the chat? I see C-Pirate is back. So I'm not sure what happened with that with D. But, and we got Rick and Heidi has joined us. And, yeah, a whole bunch of people. So, welcome, everybody. It's myself, Keith, from P&K Space Imaging, and Bill New York Skywatcher. And me and Mark, when Mark was on, we were talking about the site that we were setting up.
Yes.
And I put out a call, an open call, because we had, I don't know, we had about 800 or 900 people watching that night. And I said, listen, guys, we are looking for a Southern Hemisphere scope. We're looking for somebody in the Southern Hemisphere.
Oh, that would be
And guess what?
Don't even say.
We found him. We got him.
Who, from where?
I have to send you the information. We got the guy.
So don't mention nothing of this yet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're on the stream, obviously. I mean, I told people the other night that I think we found our guy, and looking at his credentials, and seeing that he has a 14-inch scope.
Wow.
We found our guy. We found our Southern Hemisphere guy in Australia.
What is this? Oh my! What's his focus of attention? What does he do?
Everything.
Oh wow! And you know that's the thing, time zones. Remember that.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be on when we'll be sleeping.
Yep.
Something like that, right?
Yep. So me and Mark were talking about that we had to get with you to actually get that page up and running. That website.
We'll do that. Yeah, we'll do that when he comes back from Roswell.
Oh, that's right. He was heading out. When's he head out for that? This weekend?
He left already. He's there already.
Oh, is he? Okay. I wonder. Dude, I was going to ask him if he was going to stream that.
I asked him to.
Yeah, you think he will?
I hope so. All right. And I'm sure many of your listeners already know this, but I produce for KGRA and KGRAradio.com. But we're going to try to do coverage of the panel from 12:45 Eastern time in the afternoon, of course, to 2:45. And it's going to be the whole panel of the speakers that are going to be there, and they're going to take questions. So we're going to try to put that on the air. So I think that would be really cool. And Mark would be one of those people.
Hell yeah.
You know, because
he's there. Because Race is there too, right?
Yeah,
he's there with the trailer.
Yep, exactly.
That trailer is sweet looking.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh. And he's remember next year when we all get together again.
Mm-hmm. We're parking that thing down there by the motel.
He's going to have.
Road. And
the thing is, I'm going to have to hang back because I would not leave that trailer by itself without my eyesight on it. I'm telling you, because it really is attractive.
I do have an update from Paul, everybody. Believe it or not, this beautiful view that you were seeing, and it looks awesomely clear to us. He says there's a little fog in the air. So he said wait till that clears, and we should have perfect viewing weather.
And Paul, if you're listening, what's going on? And you better come next year. That's all I'm saying. And Mom misses you. She asks for you all the time.
Oh, and by the way, don't forget we will be doing the live stream August 21st of the solar eclipse from Nashville, Tennessee, and there's a good chance that Mark might be joining us for that trip.
Wow.
I know. I believe I asked you when we were up in New York if you wanted to do it.
Well, if Mark goes, he should pick me up in his. I don't know how he's going to get there. If he's going to drive, we could drive together.
Well, yeah, he said he was going to drive because he has to deliver that other observatory down in Kentucky.
Oh, he better. I'm gonna bother him. When is the date now? That's right, August 21st.
August 21st, and we'll be in Nashville, Tennessee. We'll be on top of a skyscraper. We're going to have 2 cameras running. We're going to have the one, of course, the eclipse camera, and then I'm going to do a time lapse of the actual city skyline.
Time out. You're going to be on top of a skyscraper?
Well, skyscraper. I mean, I think it's like 22 stories or something like that.
You already spoke to these people, and you've got the.
My friend is already setting it up. She lives down there. She actually lives in Nashville.
Oh my! Oh, that's awesome.
And she said that when it comes down, she needs to know how many people because booking-wise, that Nashville's going to fill up like so fast because they're like right in the dead area where it's 100% covered. So. Anything along that boundary, if you're looking for hotels or anything along that boundary in the U.S. and everywhere from Oregon to South Carolina, it's going to be just massive.
All right, question.
People.
Are you booking back or are you staying in overnight and then going home? You're staying overnight, right?
Yeah, well, I plan on leaving Friday. No, yes, Friday night.
What day does it fall on?
It's I think it's a Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday. The 21st is. So
I have to talk to Mark because maybe Mark and I can get a place together if we're going to come back the next day, or I don't know what his plans are. So
well, there's a chance that we might just be able to stay at this friend of mine's house because she has a big house, and it's just her. So there's a good chance we might be able just to crash there.
Oh, if that's the case, we'll hang.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because, I haven't seen her in forever, and if we're going down to Nashville, I figured if I leave Friday, I can get there Saturday. I can hang out with her Saturday and Sunday because I haven't seen her in a while. And then, come Monday or Tuesday. I think it's Monday.
Are you going to say a couple of days out, monitor the weather to see that it's going to make sure that it's clear and before you make that trip? And
I'm trying to make a 250-mile battle plan. Which is, if it turns out that it's looking like there's definitely an impending weather coming, we're going to have places within 200 miles that we can go, which is basically 2 to 3 hours. But, I mean, you're looking at something that's once in a lifetime,
Absolutely.
For us, for 100% total coverage. I mean, most likely, most of us will never see this again. So that's why it's such a big deal. And crossing the continental United States, like splitting it pretty much right down the middle. It's something that you definitely want to see. Like, even if I wasn't into astronomy or wasn't recording it and stuff like that, or didn't have this channel, I'd still want to make that trek down there just to see it, just to be a part of it. Because we had a partial one back in the 80s. Yep. I believe we were 63% coverage, I think, here in Pennsylvania. You might have been a little less or a little more up where you are. But
so have you looked to see where, I mean, it's got to be a sliver, where the 100 absolute perfect view is going to be?
Yeah, you have, I believe it's a 90-mile swath wide.
All right. So anywhere within that 90 miles, it'd be nice to get in the middle of that 90.
Well, that Nashville is. That's what I'm saying. Nashville's, one of the cities considered ground zero. I mean, they're right in the middle of that 90.
Yep. Yeah.
Where you can go south or north and still catch it at 100%. So that's why we're going to have that 200-mile thing where, okay, if the storms are coming in, we got to head west to go through the storm and come out the other side where it's clear to catch it. And the good part about it is I think it's at 2:21 in the afternoon. So,
oh man.
So we have that.
You got a good phone. You have the same phone as I do, don't you?
That's 6.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
You should do a live stream maybe before the main event and show like what's going on in the background, because obviously it's going to have to switch over to the computers when you start actually streaming the sun, right?
Right.
So you can do like a preview and show where you are on the sky, with the top of the building, whatever. Show what's going on, the equipment, like do a little thing. And
I'm gonna do the same thing we kind of did when we came up your way, and just kind of do daily. Hey, this is where we are. This is what we're doing. I do. There's a chance that we're meeting up with because I know what's the bald guy from the Weather Channel. Why do I keep forgetting his name?
Oh my God!
The dude that's always running around going crazy about Jim Cantore. I know he's going to be in Nashville, so I'm going to try to find him and just kind of just have a sit down with him because I know he's there for the weekend. I know that what's the one astronaut's going to be in Nashville as well, but I forget his name. But there's a whole bunch of people actually descending on Nashville, and of course Knoxville's part of it, and once again draw that straight line up towards Oregon. Oregon I think is going to get the sunrise eclipse, which is going to be just awesome.
Oh yeah, that's right. They said that's what they said, and that is even more rare.
Yeah.
If you look it up, how many times that happens, what the frequency is, to actually have it rising.
That's just going to be in the summertime too. When you get
what it looks like over the water.
Well, do you ever see the sunrise? Say like over the water in the summertime, where the sun looks like really red and big, just coming up. Now imagine that, and then add the moon eclipsing it on top. It'd be crazy.
Oh, man, but it would be awesome to get Cantore involved, because that would give. Can you imagine? If a live segment of this freaking eclipse?
Yeah.
With you guys with the telescopes and everything.
That's what I'm thinking. He's going to be doing some kind of coverage for the Weather Channel or something like that. And I figured if I can get him even the day before, just as a sit down, chit chat.
Right.
Because he does. I think he does have a bachelor's in astronomy, so it's one of his secondary things. So I'm thinking that's
him and Mark shooting.
Exactly. You know, so yeah, I mean, it's hopefully it's going to be a pretty good trip, and hopefully we can bring you some pretty good views.
Yeah, because I can bring my Sony and record it on my card and do it that way. Oh, you don't need. Speaking of that, today I went to the doctor twice, once for myself and once for mom, and I'm there. Yeah, Ma. She's somewhere around. We keep her there. So I get out of the car, and all of a sudden I hear fighter jets going over my head. I'm like, what is going on? And they were low. And then I saw the Blue Angels, and I said,
uh-oh, air show.
It's air show coming. And it happens to be Saturday. They're going to have an air show.
Where are they having it at?
Stewart.
Oh, okay. Right by you there.
Yeah. And because it's a National Guard base, so. And they do this every year. And, you know, they have the air show. I think the VIP, you pay $100 and you get like top of the line stuff, and you even get food served to you, the whole 9 yards. They go all out with this. But anyway, so I'm taking out because speaking of the cameras, that's why I took my camera out. I'm trying to film it. I'm zooming. Then what happened was my phone updated. I don't know if you got the latest update. Check. It happened a couple of weeks ago, but I haven't played with the video on it. So I'm trying to focus, like zoom, and usually the volume key is the zoom, the up, the up on the volume on the side of the phone. It's taking snapshots in succession, and I'm like, what is going on? At settings, change that to the volume key to zoom, and it was so difficult waiting for them to come over my area because they were doing a test run. Yeah, they were doing their pre-flight, I guess, getting their things all set up. Right. But and I'm trying to take videos, and every time I try to take a video, they were moving so fast I'd lose it because I'm trying to zoom in on it to get a nice picture of close up. Oh, it was a disaster.
You were stuck on that like burst mode or whatever it is. It takes like 10 pictures at once.
No, I couldn't. It was really sunny here today, and the glare was tremendous. So I was trying to look through my camera outside, and I can't even see what's on my screen, even with my shades on, because it was so bright. I don't know if I'm hitting the planes. I can't see if the plane is in the frame, and I was so upset. And then I'm outside today, and I'm in my pool, and I'm laying straight back, and what do I see? The formation really low right over my house. I was like, wow. That was awesome.
Paul just messaged me and said he has the fog reduction on, but he said as it is getting worse, so he may have to go to the wide field sooner than later. Just okay. Well, update for anybody in the chat.
Is that the wide field now? Because it's wide field on the...
Oh, no, I got to change that. Thanks for reminding me.
So, yeah, I mean, it's really difficult, but when we got our stuff, our equipment, like the Sony, the A7S, I mean, now you're talking. Because you can zoom in, it has the gain, like all the settings, that.
Yeah. And
make that picture look so nice. I was like, I wish I had my Sony in this car right now. But what I was thinking, because I don't like leaving, because obviously my car is black, so the interior is black, and the car's an oven. I don't want to leave my equipment in a hot car. So anywhere I go, I would have to lug the camera around my neck.
Get one of those padded carriers.
Yeah, that's true. That's what I got to get. Because you know what? I'm thinking about, I should always have the camera. What if I see something in the sky?
Exactly. Now, see, that's what I mean. Like, I always have a camera in my truck. Always. I have my Canon camera. It sits right in the deck. It's always charged. And if I need it or I see something crazy, I can always just open it up and pop it on, and there you go, and just hit record. And then I'm getting, really good quality video instead of, like, cell phone, vert files.
Well, Someone in chat just brought up something about the ninth planet. Now, I found an interesting article which I posted on Facebook a few days ago, and I'm just going to read this a little bit because somebody just brought that. But we'll get into the other stuff too. But because we have a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah. Go for it.
Right. Well, no, and I'm not sold on the Nazca, even though the new mummy, you've heard about that, right? I'm not sold on it. But now they're showing that they have X-rays. They're taking DNA. It's a female, Maria. They named it Maria. I'm like, okay,
well, once again, it's not my field of specialty. So I kind of just brush over a lot of the stuff like that. I mean, I do kind of read about it, going through my timeline and whatnot. But you would know massively amount more about what's going on with the Nazca stuff than I would.
Well, I produced L.A. Marzulli's show Tuesday, I believe it was. So, and he mentioned, listen, don't discount it yet. Give it time. Let's see what the facts bring out. And I'm starting to see more, and I'm starting to talk to certain individuals in the field, and they're saying, Bill, don't rush to judgment yet. That's all they're telling me. They're not going out on the limb saying it's what they're trying to say it is. Because, I mean, it could be a deformity. It's an elongated skull, but the thing is 3 fingers, 3 toes. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things because of the way it looks. And like I said, I'm not.
Well, where was it discovered at?
Yeah.
Around the Nazca area, I'm taking it.
Yeah. And there's videos available. Gaia, Heidi in chat, she's got the links. I don't know if it's still available on her Facebook, but you could check it out. She's got it up. So yeah, it's out there, and it's a really good video by Gaia. It's actually, you know, they're showing the DNA testing they've been doing on it. So this is something that they're really getting involved in now. I would like to just wait. I'm not there. I don't know. I'm not, like you said, I'm not knowledgeable in the background of what this thing and my, you know, I don't know what it is. We have to wait for the science to come out and tell us what it is, I guess.
I would like to see a video of it being uncovered.
The only thing is, please don't do a thing where you charge $20 for people to watch it on a live stream.
Yeah, that, or try to make a movie around it.
I'm like, really? Really? Yeah. So, you know, because that's so unnecessary. And another thing, too, we don't want it to turn into a debacle that happened like 2 years ago with the mummified child.
Yeah.
We don't need
that was embarrassing.
And it really makes the whole field look bad.
Well, the whole ufology field right now is just totally off the walls. It's almost like imploding in on itself. Oh, man. You know, with everything that's going on, and you're like, okay, guys, let's just take a step back. Okay, because there was a whole bunch of infighting and whatnot that I was seeing, and I'm like, really? You know, these are like respected people. You know, and you had one guy coming out against another one, and you know, you had the whole, you know, Larry Warren thing, which, you know, I'm no fan of Larry Warren, but you know, I kind of, there were some inconsistencies just of what I heard from the story he was telling to, you know, what other people were saying. So, you know, I kind of made my own judgment on that, but I wasn't ready to pass the judgment, you know, on, you know, personally. But
you know something? I think that they see the field right now, and I say they loosely, because there are. I would love to tell you what Ray's told me, what happened at Roswell, but I'm waiting to get him on the air to talk about it, because he told. Yeah. I was like, what? Really?
And that's probably a better spot for it anyway.
Yeah, or if he comes here, I'll do it both. We'll do a live KGRA and P&K thing at the same time, because I'm tied into the network. All I gotta do is press talk live, and we're on the air right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to KGRA Radio, the new P&K channel, or the P&K Space Show.
You know, remember KGRA TV?
Yeah, and then we got that. So, a whole bunch of good stuff coming. This is what me and Mark were talking about the one night. We were kind of informing everybody that, you know, there's a lot of big things on the horizon.
A lot.
You know, and we want to definitely get started working on it. And I was kind of surprised when I put out the thing, because the one night we were talking about John Leonard Walton and his craft and stuff like that. And, you know, I basically said, listen, bygones be bygones. You know, and everybody said I should have him on, and I was like, guys, I've tried to have John on numerous times, and every time I got a yes, I was like, sweet, we're gonna find out what's up. And then every time it was something. It was Skype didn't work. Somebody took the Skype off my computer, my microphone. You know, every single time there's like, and I was just like, you know what? And finally, the other night, I was just like, listen, if you want to come on, it's still there. I will be non-partial about it. I said, all you have to do is explain what you're doing, have people test it, and if it comes out to be what it says, what you says it is, or say it is, it's, you know, you're validated. You know, the last 10 years of your life is validated. But then I found a guy named Thierry Galt in France. And what this guy does for a living is he tracks satellites, known satellites and military satellites that aren't on any books, if you know what I mean. And I was watching a video of his, and he was tracking a stationary satellite that was a pretty good ways up, and his view of it looked exactly like John Walson's. And I'm like, okay, but here's the kicker. John Walson's imaging was better than what Theory was getting with a 14-inch scope. So I'm like, okay, so either way, John wins. If he's getting that kind of imaging on a satellite, that this professional guy that's been doing this for 30 years can't get that kind of imaging on a geostationary satellite, I was like, John, you win. You know? It's like you have nothing to lose here. Is it the only thing you're going to lose is saying that, you know, you're filming a giant spaceship in orbit. I was like, besides that, if it's true, what you're filming is a geostationary satellite, you're getting the best imaging ever from the ground of a geostationary satellite. That's something in itself. You know, he could share that optical information and make tons of money off of that for people that track satellites. You know, but
I agree. Well, you know, it's I guess it's a competitive aspect to it too.
It could be. It could be. You know, and I see that. You know, well, it's just like me and Mark were saying. We're not in this to be competitive.
Exactly.
You know?
I do it because I enjoy it.
Right.
I don't care if I have one watcher or 25,000.
Exactly.
Because, you know, at the same time, this is our passion. And it's just a great thing to be able to share with so many people that have the same interest. Or the curiosity. Or exploring possibilities and educating. Because you get all of that.
And for those naysayers that say, well, yeah, but there's so many different personalities, you took people from pretty much around the world back in May and stuck them in a house together, and there was not one. It's like we knew each other forever. There was not one problem. You know, you had a guy from Florida, you had Heidi from the UK, you had, you know, Travis, you know, from the West Coast, you had, and everything was fine.
Travis liked it so much he wants to stay 2 nights next year. I'm serious. He said it. The thing is, we made everybody comfortable, you know, and there was no rowdiness. It's me and you sat there live on YouTube, and we were drinking shots of vodka. But you didn't see us start to slam chairs at each other and
Heidi did start to throw potatoes at us at one point.
I remember that.
I'm not sure. I'm still trying to decide whether it was intent. Well, you know what? Because I just think that we didn't realize that table was on such of an angle, you know, and she put them on the table and they started flying past us.
The best was when Paul went in the woods with his camera, and we were talking about the spiders. He came running out of those woods so fast. I don't like spiders. Oh man, that was priceless.
You didn't even get to say spiders. You said spider, and all of a sudden here comes Paul running out.
He came out, and Heidi and a few of us watched the video because it's on the stream, and I was like, wow, look at this. It was great. I mean, we had a really good time.
Yeah, it was a great time, and thank you once again to you and your mom. Great host. And if you ever decide to start your own hotel or motel chain, let me know, because I will be there.
And the food.
Yeah. Oh my God, Jesus! From all of you. Yeah. You know, from you, Heidi had me eating some kind of potato with some white crap on it, and I was like, oh boy, here we go with this UK stuff. And I ate it, and I was like, man, that was good.
Was it garlic mayo? I think it was garlic mayo.
Yeah.
Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah, and then of course you had what's his name making the tacos on the last.
Jay took it over.
Yeah.
Jay, I mean, because I think that Mark and I were still coming back from the festival, the Pine Bush thing, and you guys went ahead of us, and Jade was just like, I told Jade, please, if you can, just start this stuff.
Yep.
And he was at it. I mean, like a machine.
Yeah.
He really did his thing.
That was good stuff.
Yeah, it was good. And like I said, next year, we're hoping Lorraine comes with her husband Steve, and maybe Amanda will come down. I'm sure Amanda's coming for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think she now knows. I mean, she saw that, you know, this year how everything went. I'm pretty sure she wants to.
Not only that, she's doing a tremendously awesome, amazing job with Mark D'Antonio. Mm-hmm. You know, I guess she's really found her niche, and you know, she's doing a lot of things behind the scenes that is incredible. She's doing a great job, and it's because we love it. It's voluntary. You know, that to me, that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
So here's that article I was talking about because somebody mentioned Planet Nine. Now, this is from phys.org. So phys.org. And this is dated June 22nd. Unseen planetary mass object signaled by warped Kuiper belt. And it says, a yet to be discovered unseen planetary mass object makes its existence known by ruffling the orbital plane of distant Kuiper belt objects, according to research by Kat Volk and Renu Malhotra of the UAE's Lunar and Planetary Laboratory. So they're talking about, and I'm just trying to skim, the mysterious mass somewhere between that of Mars and Earth.
And yeah, and me and Mark had talked about that on the last stream. There's probably 60 or 70 of those out in the Kuiper belt, or maybe even past the Kuiper belt. We're not saying that there's not possibly a planet floating out there orbiting, along with the Kuiper stuff. But the thing is, when you have people saying that this giant Planet 9, Nibiru, Planet X, whatever it is, it's going to come into the inner solar system and cause all kind of havoc, it's not going to happen. I mean, we would know years in advance if something was heading towards us.
Obviously, especially with the
scopes not only that, I mean, the gravitational effects. You would start to see Pluto wobbling around and weird stuff going on with Neptune, and it just
other planets.
And once again, we would see that year. I mean, you're talking about the fastest speed we can travel right now. It takes us 18 months to get to Saturn.
Now, I kind of botched that up. The object is in the Kuiper belt, and it has the mass somewhere between that of Mars and Earth. So you're talking about a very sizable planet.
Yeah.
And just to complete that before we speak more about it, because I want to read it in its in completion, because I kind of made that very vague.
Yeah, go ahead.
It says here, present compelling evidence of a yet to be discovered planetary body with a mass somewhere between that of Mars and Earth. The mysterious mass, the author shows, has given away its presence for now only by controlling the orbital planes of the population of space rocks known as the Kuiper belt objects, or KBO. While most KBO's debris left over from the formation of solar system orbit the sun with orbital tilts, inclinations that average out to what planetary scientists call the invariable plane of our solar system, the most distant of the Kuiper belt objects do not. Their average plane is tilted away from the invariable plane by about 8 degrees. In other words, something unknown is warping the average orbitable plane of our outer solar system. So something is interfering now, which they're noticing, in the normal process of what the Kuiper belt normally does. Something is throwing it off by a few degrees, warping it out a little bit. So it's tugging, or it's creating some type of gravitational effect where it's showing itself because they're seeing that little anomaly. Right. So, but you're gonna have people like you just mentioned. You're gonna have people saying, "Oh, here it comes!" It's inbound. And I'm just curious about the science, because if you remember, a few months ago, 2 guys from Caltech were talking about there was a body out there, and it had even possible objects orbiting around it, possible small moons. They didn't know, but they mentioned this, and this was like 6 months ago, maybe a year now. So there's been talk about this in the scientific field, not people that are out there creating videos on YouTube saying the end is coming, it's Nibiru, Planet X, whatever you want to call it.
And the sad part about that is, you're talking about this whole Planet X thing started by a woman named Nancy Leader. Okay, this woman was so convinced that this Planet X Nibiru was coming in, she killed her pets.
Whoa!
She literally killed her dog because she thought this thing was coming.
Well, we have to look at, remember in the past that cult.
Yeah, there's tons. Just because everybody, it's just people panic way too much. Like, we're almost becoming more of a fearful society. Just maybe it's because of what's going on here. How humans, best I can say it, are stupid. We're fighting way too much. And then let's just say an alien presence does come down. They look at what's going on down here. They're like, screw this. These people can't even get along with one another. What are they going to think about us?
I always make the joke, Keith. If there's a sign in space, keep away. Stay away from Earth. You know, beware. It's almost like in the Bugs Bunny cartoons. You used to see all the signs popping up.
Yeah. There's one outside of Philly that says, like, welcome to Philadelphia. Now duck, mother, you know?
Yeah. Oh, my. But, I mean, until I see real science,
yeah,
you know, I want to see science.
And it may be real science. Like, I know what I could do. I could probably make a video sometime in the next week or so that, because there's actually, they call it a game, but it's actually really just, I mean, because you can, like, crash planets together. And it's called, I keep getting this wrong. I'm thinking it's called Universe Sandbox. Okay? And what they do is they take real physics into account. So literally, I can sit there and I can take, I can make whatever size planet I want to, and I can stick it out in the Kuiper Belt. All right? And I can give it its mass, whatever, so I can make it in between Mars and Earth. And then all of a sudden hit speed up, you know? And we can actually see the effects over hundreds and thousands of years of what this thing would do to our solar system. And you would be able to see the effects that you would start noticing almost right away. Now, of course, you'd see the Kuiper Belt stuff, you know, start wobbling around a little bit. Obviously, it's going to start pushing and pulling on stuff. But, you know, I was telling Mark I did it the other day, and I decided just for the hell of it, I started to send the damn planet through the solar system. And I made it collide with, like, Mercury. And, dude, as soon as it came into the solar system, it was like, you know, bowling. This thing came in, and the next thing it's attracting Pluto, and Neptune sucked it in, and then they collided, and they made two other planets that went down and then hit Jupiter and Saturn and tore them all to hell.
Like a pool table.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it was. And next thing you know, the whole entire solar system is nothing but dust. You know, there's no sun. It's just, you know, the sun was destroyed because of all of it. It went supernova for some reason. But, you know, and that was about over a 100,000 year period. But I'm like, you know, so I mean, they base it on real physics, like real mass, real gravity, you know, real, you know, pools. I mean, you can collide galaxies together if you want to, you know, on there.
Yeah, to simulate the simulation, yeah.
Yeah, and as I said, it's based on real physics and what would happen. And they actually added on the new one where you could do, you can see a picture of Earth, and then what you can do is you can actually raise the temperature of Earth 1 degree Celsius. And then go, you know, 100 years and see what happens, or 2 degrees or 3 degrees, or, you know, space it out however you want to. And I did it by 1 degree. I raised the global temperature by 1 degree Celsius, and I think 120 years the Great Lakes were gone.
Wow. Well, you know, when I was in the doctor's office, I was reading the bottom of the scroll, and it was saying that the ice sheet from Antarctica is ready to break off.
Yeah, they have a big one down there.
It's 10%, almost 10% of the entire land mass of Antarctica. Now they're saying no, it's not going to cause any rise in the oceans, but it's going to change the geographical outlay of Antarctica. It's going to change it completely because it's breaking off. Now it's still connected to the sheet, but it's like really loose.
Right.
They're saying really loose, and it's huge. It's massive, and they don't know when it's going to happen, a day, a week, a month, but they said it's going to happen sooner rather than later. And I was like, whoa.
Well, if you just look at pictures from, say, like Greenland, you know, from 80 years ago, the massive amount, you know, just has disappeared from Greenland and never recovered.
There are islands disappearing. There's shoreline disappearing around the world.
Yeah.
You know, it's happening. Now, I'm not going to stand here and say it's, even though the science does say climate change and global warming, etc. And
can I clarify that for a lot of people?
Yeah, please.
A lot of people say there's climate change deniers, and then there's climate. It's not. I actually fell into this because I was believing the same thing. What a lot of people are saying is they don't believe it's man-made climate change. They don't believe that man is causing it. Okay, so in other words, if you talk to some people that are, you know, quote unquote climate change deniers, they'll agree that yes, the climate is changing. They just don't think that humans are causing it.
Right. But I mean, we have to think about everything. Don't you remember a few maybe a decade or two ago now, when they had the whole ozone warning?
Oh yeah, with the CFCs, and we're actually on our way to recovery from that.
Now
there was a giant hole forming over Antarctica in our ozone layer.
Exactly. Was that something that was ignored because did it have any financial connections by doing so, or because this is what it's about, and this is what it really comes down to. We have the rest of the world except for us now, and I think some South American country, Nicaragua or something like that, and Syria, who's involved in a civil war right now, despite other things. But it's all about the money. I mean, how many? If you look at the numbers, how many jobs were created through green energy, solar power, wind? Look at all the workers currently employed at these plants. In comparison to, and we hear so much about the coal and everything else. A plant opens. How many people work there in a coal area? 70,
if that.
I mean, yes, clean coal. Natural gas is cheaper than coal. But you know what? We have centuries supply. We have hundreds of years of stockpile of coal. And then selling it to other countries. China still has a lot of their factories running on coal.
True, but you also have you seen Beijing in the summertime?
Yep. They're all wearing masks. Well, I would say at least half everybody I see from coverage. And there's always, whenever I see a live shot of Beijing, I always see a smog. Always. I never see it where it's perfectly clear in the camera, where you see the buildings 10 miles plus visibility. Never.
Yeah. You got so much smog in the air over in Beijing. People are starting to see secondary cities popping up above Beijing. The clouds.
I've seen that.
From reflective, stuff. But yeah, it's. And I tell you what.
Does it hurt? Does it hurt to try to think on terms where we're not going to be reckless and endanger life here on our planet by just for sake doing the right thing and trying to find a better energy source? Wouldn't that make sense? Are we going to be stuck? That's what it's all about, being industrialists.
Listen, it comes down to the almighty dollar.
Definitely.
I mean, in what world does it not make sense to go to a clean, free energy that the only thing you have to do is make solar panels for, or use wind, or these new wave machines that are doing the natural progression of waves coming in? It's like, why? I mean, I understand that, yes, there's a lot of people that work in the coal industry and the oil industry. Fine. Then lay out a plan to convert slowly if you have to. You know what I mean? Make a 20-year plan where it said, okay, we're going to go from oil and we're going to slowly convert. And, 20 years from now, we're hoping that Exxon Mobil is a primary, solar panel, builder or whatever. Make that plan. All they want to do is say, let's keep it the way it is. We're making hundreds of billions of dollars. Why would we shut that off?
Okay, I'll flip it another way. We have so many, and I'm not trying to get political right now, but there's a lot of groups out there that are willing to donate millions and millions of dollars, lobbyists or whatever group they are, and they're throwing millions of dollars. Why can't we just say, you know what? Since we're just throwing that, and this is even when in the campaigns, how money's thrown around like it's nothing. Even this last one that happened in Georgia, 50 million combined, or I know that the one individual raised 25 million. All this money flying around for politicians. Money should be put back into technology, science, education, where you see the solar panels we have today, make them better. Make it where when they take the charge, they hold more. Let's build on that technology.
Oh, here's the best example. The guys that came up with graphene, the single atom layer of graphite that doesn't lose any conductivity, 1 atom thick, can literally carry a voltage beyond our what we can do now. They said, doing the math, they could make a battery, okay, that not only if you do graphene wires, you know, to charge them through solar panels, you could have a solar power the size of a solar light in your yard. You know, the little ones with the stakes that have little solar panels on top. He said make that solar panel out of graphene, make the wire that goes to the the wire out of graphene, make the battery that is holding the charge out of graphene. He said you can charge that in an hour, and not only that, one battery the size of a car could power your car and your house for a week.
Look at that. Look at that. I think you're working on Jupiter, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
So it's like, okay, so now we have this promising graphene. Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, they go to one of the big oil companies, and they say, listen, we have this new thing. We need to find a way to mass produce it. We need to put some R&D onto it. Guess what happens? Get out of our office.
Of course.
Then they put out the word to other oil companies, saying, "Listen, this is what is going on here." So now you have the only people working on graphene stuff is freaking colleges and universities.
But you know what, Keith? That may be happening here, but try doing that in another country. They'll say, "Sure, show us."
Well, there's one country that's doing it above and beyond and putting all of their resources into graphene, and that's Switzerland.
And you know what? Remember, that's going to cause look what Microsoft did in changing everything.
Yep.
This, again, we cannot stay stagnant as a civilization. We always need to look beyond and try to improve. Just because, okay, we'll stick with oil for now. We have plenty of it, and the coal and the gas, and we'll frack more, and we'll do some more digging in some protected forests now, and let's create more offshore oil rigs. Why not? We've got plenty of it. We'll be self-dependent. Nothing lasts forever. Another thing too is, again, on a conscious level, what better thing to do is to protect life on Earth by going in a green energy or free energy source that does not whatsoever have any impact on the environment. Mm-hmm. It cannot hurt. I mean, again, quality of life.
And that's why you have all these big, gurus stepping up. And I kind of like to see it. These guys are all putting their money where their mouth is. You got, Bill Gates. You got Elon Musk. You got, Jeff Bezos from, Amazon. Yep. These guys are putting their money where their mouth is, where they're working on space stuff. But not only that, their R&D process of their companies are just...
Hold on. I accidentally hit... in 15 minutes, I got to check KGRA for the thing. I don't know if it's going to come through your air. But we'll get to that when we get to it. I got to make sure Jimmy Church's stream is being carried on KGRA. Otherwise, I'd be in a lot of trouble because I am the only one... Right now, I am the only one able to run the network. There's nobody else.
Well, I'll tell you what. When you have to do that, let me know, and we'll drop into some music for a couple minutes while you go check that, and everybody can take a pee break or.
No, let's do a test. I'll put the current show on now. Let's see if you get it. I don't think you will. Let's see if you hear this. In 3, 2, 1, now.
Nope.
No.
Nothing.
Beautiful. So it's not coming through.
Well, I didn't hear it over Skype anyway. I'm pretty sure if I can't hear it there, they can't hear it in the chat. So.
Yeah, no, I was just playing the actual show that's in the air.
And Bill, I just want to let you know that Rashad in chat wants to see Uranus.
What?
Rashad in chat wants to see Uranus.
Well, get that telescope focused, I guess.
You might want to put a focal reducer on there.
Oh my.
YouTube comedians.
Is he dealing with any atmospherics right now? As
yeah,
far as
clouds.
Oh,
yeah, foggy.
It still looks good.
It does, but it's I'm looking on my feed right now. It's really starting to cloud over. I'm trying to brighten it up as best I can, but
I hope it clears up.
He'll skip back to the moon. I mean, he has a fog lens on, so it's helping out a little bit. But he said a breeze just kicked up, so that might be good news. So hopefully it'll blow any of that fog out. Whatever. Once again, I don't mean to ignore everybody in the chat. It's just off to my left side, and I'm not looking at it. So let me do that real quick.
We're gonna get some little rough weather the next couple of days up here by us.
Oh yeah, is it supposed to be?
Thunderstorms. It's getting hot too.
Yeah.
I'm just seeing. I'm getting messages from Race. Nope, not yet.
All right, so what's up, Greg and Rob and SP Junkies and Tencel and of course Rockstar's in the house and TD. You know what? Let me go down the. I love this feature that they put active participants.
That's a. I never seen that one before.
Okay, so we got Bomb Diggity. All right, Bomb Diggity. Carmen Dang is back in the house. Genghis, of course, is here. Greg. Myself, Planet Light Force, Rashad, Rob, Rockstar, of course, SP Junkies again, Wild Vicky, I believe it is.
And Bomb Diggity said alien base on the moon. The only thing I'm going to say is that the astronauts themselves, and there's audio tape of it, seem to describe they're seeing something on the surface. I have yet to have any kind of evidence, photographic otherwise, that there's an alien base on the moon, and we hear about that a lot, and I mean,
there's a lot of fake videos out there too.
Yeah, and I mean, who knows? Who knows? Maybe there is something going on, and we're not. But I think these guys, what they're doing, and giving you the opportunity to see some real close-ups of the lunar surface, and of course, the dark side. Even though we do see some of the dark side, but the moon does rotate slightly.
It has a very, very slight, I think it's a 6 or 8 degree wobble.
Yeah.
That it does over time.
So technically, that's why I said it carefully. But you never know. You never know what we don't see. It'd be a perfect hiding spot, you would think. But if people are doing, I mean, there's so many people now that are observant and they're watching.
Oh, you know what? Why Paul has us on? I hate to interrupt you, but just for people's reference, let me brighten this up a little bit. As you are looking at the screen, you're going to see Jupiter. It's going to be overexposed from left to right, okay? From the very left, you got Ganymede, then Europa, then Io, and then Jupiter, and then Callisto is off to the right. So you got them almost in a straight line completely across the screen.
Wow.
You see it.
Cool. And we pick it up or no?
Yeah, I just overexposed it. You should be seeing it on YouTube right now.
Oh, when you brighten it up. Yes. Yes, I see it. Yep.
Hungry fella? There you go.
Oh, look at that. That is so cool.
And, of course, a cloud came right when he was overexposed. But we now that I'm looking at it, we're back on the moon. So.
Oh, I see it. I'm just saying I see it clearly. You could definitely see that.
Yep, and we should actually have the storm coming around shortly as well. So.
Now, the thing is, as far as we were talking about just a few minutes ago, which I totally lost where I was at.
Sorry.
We were talking about here we go, back to the moon. Cool. The energy. Mm-hmm. It has to be done. What's going to happen is we're going to be left behind, and the rest of the world is going to jump on it and make it full-blown profitable.
Not only that, but I mean, you cannot deny the fact that CO2 is a problem. Mm-hmm. Okay, now, you take out the whole man-made CO2. Man-made is, these big giant factories that are pumping CO2. I mean, that's man-made, carbon. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people get weather mixed up with climate. They are two totally different beasts.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, climate does affect the weather, obviously, but a lot of people say, well, if it's if we have a cold or a cool summer, they're like, yeah, what about this global warming, blah blah blah, and it's like that's not how it works. The one thing you will see more than anything, when we start getting critical, and you're starting to see it now, is the weather will start going nuts. And I'm not talking about snow in the middle of July or anything like that. I'm talking about storms will get heavy. Hurricanes will get huge. Typhoons, yes. They're just, even a normal summer day thunderstorm are going to be, more impactful than what they are now. That's the kind of effects you're going to see.
Have you seen so many tornadoes in the Northeast like this before? I've never.
No, never. In the last 5 years, I have seen more tornadoes in the Northeast. I'm talking north of the Mason-Dixon line, which is, for anybody that doesn't know, that's where Pennsylvania and Maryland split. And, I mean, you're talking about tornadoes in New York. I mean, you would never hear about tornadoes in Vermont or, any place, and you're hearing them all the time now.
All the time.
And it used to be Tornado Alley was Kansas, Nebraska, which it still is, obviously. Oklahoma, Texas. That was your main. I mean, you rarely ever heard of a tornado, north of the Mason-Dixon line. And now they happen all the time. At least 50 a year.
And you remember, we never heard of earthquakes in Oklahoma.
Yeah, earthquakes in Oklahoma, or earthquakes in New York and Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Granted, they're small ones, but they're still earthquakes.
We do have a fault line, though, that runs right through Manhattan. It comes up here, and it goes down where you are. So there is a fault line.
I am scared for New York City, my man.
And I'll tell you.
I have a bad feeling.
I got to say this. I am so happy I don't live in the city anymore, and I've been up here for over a decade. And the thing I do fear is if something, God forbid, happens in a mass scale in something in New York City, now, first of all, I can't imagine the chaos that ensues. That's number one.
Right.
And that's just based on the population. There's just too many people. They're all going to be trying to get somewhere, and it's going to be impossible to get all those people somewhere quick.
Yeah, I mean, New York City's great if you want everything right at your fingertips, but when you have to get out,
yes,
not good.
Not good at all.
Believe me, I came from Mark's house to Yonkers. As far as I'm concerned, let Yonkers go under. Because that place was just nuts.
I don't know. How the heck did you end up in Yonkers?
I have no idea, but I was on some kind of parkway, and the bridges were like 6 foot tall.
Wow.
Somehow I got dumped onto I went around like, how sometimes you got to do like a figure 8 to get on, an exit. This was like a figure 88 to come off this parkway and onto the GW bridge to come across. I'm like, what? I mean, it took me around, and it said exit, and I was going, and then I went under the GW bridge, and I came over the other side, and I went over the GW bridge, and then I came back down and then under the GW bridge again, and then finally got dumped onto it. It was absolutely insane. I'm like, imagine like if I didn't have a GPS, like when I was going through, like if I had to do that by a map, I'd be dead. I'd be dead. There will be no P and K anymore. I would have been dead. Because I would have had to stop, and there was some crazy woman with like no teeth in her mouth, like yelling at traffic on this exit ramp. Like, believe me, I've seen more teeth in a jack-o'-lantern than this woman had. And she was just screaming at the top of her lungs for no apparent reason whatsoever. And I'm like, I'm going to die. Like, what the heck is going on? And it's a traffic backup, and there's a figure 88, and there's trucks, really small. I'm like, that's it. I was like, if a meteor's going to hit, let it hit right now.
Another thing too, let's just use history as a reference. And I was there, and I can talk about this. And I had people who died there, friends of mine, and 9/11. Mm-hmm. When 9/11 happened, my mom was. I think you've probably heard me talk about this before, but mom was working in Manhattan, 85th Street, and I remember her calling me, and after the second plane. Because then it was all chaos. After the first one, people thought it was an accident. They were like, oh, my God, a plane just hit the Twin Towers. But when that second one came in, that's when all bets were off. People were panicking. Remember, that wasn't when the panic really ensued. It's when the buildings came down.
Yep.
That's when all panic, chaos broke. People forget about trying. Now, think about this. If you remember the footage, people weren't driving out of New York. They were walking over the bridges. The bridges were closed. It was for pedestrians only to get them out of the city. The subway trains weren't running.
And the ferries were packed.
Yes. It was like on lockdown. And I think the only accessible road that left the city was the George Washington Bridge to get out.
Figures.
That was it. And the FDR, I guess the tunnels as well, of course.
Right, and the George Washington Bridge compared to where the towers were, I mean, that's well north.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
So just to get to the bridge alone had to be a nightmare.
It was insane. And I was looking at TV because obviously I saw it happen from where I live, and I saw the smoke, and there's so much involved with this. I won't get too much into the details, but just to try to figure out how you're going to get your loved one home, how you're going to meet them, because there's literally millions of people fleeing New York City.
And not only that, but the main cell towers were on top of the Twin Towers.
Yes.
So phones, right, unless you had a landline, you were pretty much shit out of luck.
Yep. So again, let's just, and I'm just using that as a reference. If something was to happen on a large scale, it's going to be pandemonium. It's going to be insane, because I think living 80 to 85 miles north of New York, everybody's coming up here.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to get scattered.
Oh, they can have downtown Newburgh.
Oh yeah, they can have that.
Just give that to them.
And I don't mean to. I'm not trying to.
I am. Give it to them.
But I'm just saying, you have to look at now supply and demand issues, because our population isn't not even a fraction of what it is in
So something happens in New York City. What's the first thing you do? Do you run out right away and fill up the tank and get food because you know that influx of people is coming?
I'm gonna get as many gas cans as I can that I can fill, only because I know that the gas is going to be short-lived, because they're coming up here. Because that's what happened during Superstorm Sandy. They all came in truckloads, pickup trucks, you name it, coming up here to get gas for New York City residents and Jersey and Connecticut. You know, anybody who's really affected. Right. So I'm going to gas up because I have a generator, and just to make sure that I have gas for my car, gas for my generator. The thing too, you want to have a food supply, same thing. Make sure all medications, everything. Pretty much you have to have all the essentials for a while, because they're coming up and it's gone. It's done. In hours, you do not have time. There's no window. As soon as, I mean, again, I have somewhat supply here, but if I was to see, God forbid, if I saw something happen, breaking news right now, I'm out of here. I'm going to the store. I'm going to the gas station. I'm doing what I got to do, because I know that's it. They'll be here in 2 hours.
Yep.
Because that's all you got. You know, for those that are able to get away quickly, but then there's those going to be stuck in traffic for who knows days. But it's again one of those things you've got to really be mindful of in the event of something like that happening. And you're never that. And of course, FEMA will get involved, and you'll have
you'll have rationing.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Martial law. You know they're definitely gonna put it on lockdown.
Yeah.
They're gonna worry about looting and everything else that could happen. But the thing is, this can happen anywhere, and this all goes back to the weather. Being that the weather is the way it is, and like you said, the intensity of the storms are getting worse. The hurricane sizes are record-breaking. Every year it seems we break another record from the previous year on the size and scope of these storms.
Well, not only that, but the last 2 years were the hottest years on record.
Yes.
You know, 2015, you're like, wow, that's the hottest year ever recorded. Yeah. And they're like, wow, that was an anomaly. And then the next year, it gets even hotter. They break 2015's record. 2016 did.
And you know something? Somebody brought this up. Daryl, can you defend what you have if you live in the country? Now, I've talked to my neighbors. What's going to have to happen is neighbors are going to have to come together, look out for each other to protect each other. Yep. It's going to have to be, because you're going to have people coming up and trying. I'm not saying everyone. I'm saying there's always that few. Always.
All I can say is I'm good. Because all I got to do is drive a mile up the road, and there's a nice Amish family with 15 people that they have plenty of food, and they're not going to turn anybody away, obviously. So, you know, and they grow all their own stuff, so it's not like we're going to run out anytime soon.
But you see, like you said, the temperatures are going up, and it's noticeable. And you see, look at the Philippines in the last few years getting smashed one after the other with typhoons and the other thing I'm really fearful of is the people that live out west. They are overdue, and even the scientists are giving the warning signs. And people can't say they haven't been saying it.
When was the last big quake out there? Was it in the 90s?
90s, early 90s.
The one for that was Candlestick Park, right?
Yes.
That was the last. That was the last, quote unquote, big one.
Yeah. Oh boy. Hold on. I gotta check KGRA. I almost forgot. Oh. All right. It started. It's a replay.
That's right. KGRA.
He's on. I'm good. All right. So, they are overdue, and the scientists are saying they're due. They even had an emergency drill in Oregon. I think it was last year or the year before, of a 9.0 or more, because they're expecting a really big quake off the coast of Northern California into Oregon, in that whole area, right offshore. They had a drill over this, and they're telling people, the USGS comes out and telling people, listen, we're really thinking that the big one is coming soon.
And I hate to pick the lesser of two evils, though, but if the big one does hit, you better hope it hits land and not out at sea when it comes to California. Because if it hits that fault out at sea, say 30, 60 miles out, you're done. That's it. I mean, look at the floods that ran in Japan in 2011.
A heck of a tsunami.
And you're looking at, Los Angeles. You're looking at San Francisco. I mean, all those cities. Yeah, I mean, they would all, even that far inland, would be affected.
Yeah, and remember, the East Coast ain't out of it either. The Canary Islands, the old volcano.
Yeah,
that's literally going to fall into the ocean, and that's supposed to travel at 500. I think it was 500 miles per hour. I was like, what? The size, it could be as high as 100 feet high. Hitting the coast. I believe that's what I read. Don't quote me on it, but I think it was as fast as a plane. That's how fast it's going to travel. So say, it's coming at a really rapid speed. And the first impact, whatever, it's just going to be decimation. Long Island would not be Long Island no more. It's just going to be overrun.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be the force. It's not just the height. It's the force of it coming in. All that water.
Yeah, and that's the biggest threat when it comes to meteors too. A lot of people, I would rather, and once again, you hate to say pick the lesser two evils, but I would rather have a meteor hit land than I would say, 100, 200 miles off the coast, or even for that matter, depending how big it is, in the middle of the ocean.
Yep.
Because if you have one that's a mile wide, all of a sudden come in that we can't get to and destroy, and it lands in the middle of the Atlantic or the Pacific, all coastal cities are going to feel it one way or the other.
There's no doubt. On the size, can you imagine?
I mean, you're talking that would not only that, but it would put so much moisture into the air, it would literally block the sun.
Yep.
And you're talking about global famine after that because there's just so much moisture in the atmosphere.
I totally agree. And these are things that it's not to create fear; it's just to create awareness because we always have to think about that.
Yeah.
And do we trust the sources to tell us?
Do you think the government has a contingency plan for, say, an incoming meteor that they just don't tell anybody about? Like, do you think the world governments have a plan?
Of course they do.
Yeah.
As far as looking out for themselves or looking out for the population?
I'm saying looking out for the Earth itself. Like if they see a 1-2 mile meteor coming and their trajectory is putting it right dead smack into our planet, you think they have where they can come together and actually stop it fairly quickly if they had to?
Well,
either by shooting nukes at it or.
That's what I was going to say. You would think that the world powers that have that capability, because only a certain number in less than a hand. I mean, less than a hand. One, and that you could fit on one hand. Right. That would be able to have the capacity to do so.
And you're
Russia, China, us.
Yeah, Russia, China, us, and the UK. Because UK has them, right?
Yeah, so does India. I mean, but do they have the capacity to go into space the way we would have to design them to go into space to make contact and to have impact with incoming?
There was a writer that actually brought this. I forget what the guy's name. I wish I could remember, but he said that in the event we would on a 1 to 2 mile meteor we would be able to see, and he said in the event that would happen, the only possible thing they could do is unretire one of the shuttles.
Wow.
and actually get it flight ready as fast as they can and actually launch it into space, and then do what they call a dry launch, which is basically unhook it, let it float into space, and then attach something to the back of it that can propel it on the trajectory that you need it to go. Or send it out as far as you can and have it, docked at a certain, area of space where it's going to impact it.
You know what would be interesting? Well, that's a great video right now. It's nice.
Crazy.
In that crater. Beautiful.
That's beautiful.
But you know what? It would be interesting to see if anything comes out of the woodwork as far as top secret technology that we're not aware of. And I would say, well, we've got something that can destroy it.
Yeah, like all of a sudden they reveal hey, by the way, this nice little B-2 bomber, the stealth bomber we're working on. Yeah, by the way, it can also fly in space. We just didn't tell you.
Exactly. The X-37B. Well, we've been telling you it's unmanned, but it's been manned the whole time.
Yeah.
Something way out there. I could see if they knew that it's all proverbial. What's going to hit the fan?
You know what's crazy? Nobody has been able to tell me yet. Back in the 80s, before the International Space Station was conceived, there was a space station called Daedalus.
I've never heard of that. I thought you were going to say Skylab.
No, because they made some kids movie about it, and they actually put Daedalus into it. But that was real. That was a real. It wasn't. It was considered a space station, but what it did is it actually just carried oxygen.
Interesting.
And it was just structure, just in orbit, that had oxygen canisters all over it in case you needed it. And somebody said it was abandoned when they started the International Space Station project. But I'm like, well, whatever happened to it? Did they bring it down in orbit? Is it still floating up there possibly?
Oh, my.
But nobody can seem to tell me.
What are they going to do with the ISS when it becomes defunct and they can't use it no more? What are they going to do with that? They're going to take it apart? What are they going to do?
No, it's meant to come down in orbit.
And
come into the atmosphere and burn up.
You think that massive size? You think
it's not gonna... It doesn't have a prayer. You got to realize how hot it is. I mean, they'll make sure to bring it down over an ocean. I mean, it'll be a controlled entry.
Yeah, there has to be. You're right.
But yeah, I'm going to say 95% of it will burn up.
Really?
In the atmosphere easily.
Wow.
I mean, look at. I mean, I hate to use a disaster as an example, but look what happened with the space shuttles and whatnot. I mean, that was in low Earth, when it was coming in. I mean, it was already in through the atmosphere, and look at how much that thing burned up.
Yeah, but it also exploded.
Well, true, but who says they can't plant explosives on it?
That's true.
They can all of a sudden just attach something to the oxygen tanks, and boom, now we got some fireworks.
We're not supposed to have any so-called weapons in space. There's a treaty for that.
Yeah, I think it's totally
bullshit. They don't respect that treaty, but they're up there.
There's no way. Knowing our government, there's no way. We have some type of missile or infrared laser up there somewhere.
Satellite. Something.
Our government is way too sneaky to, just leave, let's follow the treaty and let's not. Yeah, okay.
Exactly. And then, it's funny. It's almost like watching a comedy. Everybody signs it, and then they go running to start working on it. They all go run to their own little centers and start
this is a great day that we signed this treaty. Everybody's on the same page. Everybody signed. So the world is a safer place. And as soon as everybody lets out, they're all back making their own, infrared lasers and, sharks with laser beams on their heads.
Oh, my. I could see it. I really could. It could almost be like I said, a comedy routine, because that's exactly what would happen. They all go running back and, all right, they're doing it. It even came up. Just the conversation even being discussed. Yeah. It's already in some minds. They're thinking about it. Mm-hmm. That says it all.
Our goal as humanity is to constantly strive to make science fiction science fact.
Absolutely agree.
You know what I mean? So next thing you know, we're gonna have taser. There's the Star Trek thingies, little scan. I mean, it's already coming true. I mean, everything that we invent today was already thought about by some science fiction person, 30, 40 years ago. Mm-hmm. Look at the phones that we have. Mm-hmm. Same thing. Computers, mini computers in our hands. Yeah. So
it's going to be interesting to see. I'm only going to be around for a certain period of time. I mean, but it's going to be really interesting to see how much progresses in the time.
I want one of those little chess communicators, so I can just tap it and make bloop, Bill.
Oh man,
what's going on?
It'd be great to have a transporter, or just can you? Or even let's get lazy, something that a food replicator that makes you.
Yeah, now we're talking.
Keith will be having chili every night. Right?
I'll be like, what is it? Food replicator? Please make me some potatoes with garlic mayonnaise.
Oh, wow. I mean, it's just to think about what you could do.
Dude, we would be so fat. If we had a food replicator, like you can literally have anything you want, anytime you want. Oh my God, we would be the most obese. Like, we would increase the mass of Earth by like 3 times. Just because, and like any aliens coming would just be like, wow. These are really gluttonous people. Like, what happened here? Food replicator. Oh,
it's almost like Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
You could have all the candy you want to eat right in front of you. If you had all the food, access to food, or forget about the food. Then it'll be making alcohol beverages.
Yeah. Oh man, just a bunch of drunk fat people. Oh, just laying around.
And that would be funny. I mean, this is that you got you could make a whole comedy skit on that. Mm-hmm. You know, because and just put not even 5 years later, a week later.
Yeah. It's like people would just be laying in the middle of streets, just like dripping gravy.
Oh, I can't. That's just hysterical.
They need to come up with an auto exerciser first, or a way to take carbs and or some kind of machine that makes people lose weight before they even think about a food replicator. Because if they make a food replicator, we're done. That's it. You know.
And Amanda, what's up? There's a really easy way to stream your games if you're gonna do it. On YouTube, all you need is a really good capture card that has HDMI in, because all our games have HDMI out. And if you have an HDMI card that has the in, well, bingo.
You got the Elgato HD60. You got the one that you have, Bill. What's yours called?
Yeah. The Black Magic.
Yeah, Black Magic capture card. So yeah, there's tons of ways, and they usually run about $150 or so.
That's it. Put it in your computer in the slot.
Yeah, and you got to make sure you have a computer powerful enough to.
God.
Processing. Yeah, because if not, you'll just bog and skip and whatnot.
You better have a 3.5 or higher processor, CPU, or you're toast. Bottom line. And also you better have a good motherboard, a fast motherboard. Mm-hmm. So, because you're talking to two geeks as far as, because I practically built this one that's in my house right now.
Yeah.
You know, we know what we need. Streaming is not something you can easily do without lag and all the other complications if you don't have the hardware to do it with.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to do it with that crappy laptop I had up at your house, and that was an HD entertainment series, and that was a 2.8, I think, and I was running a direct in from Paul, and that thing still wouldn't do it.
Amanda, definitely have. Amanda, your new computer definitely has the power to do it.
What kind did she have?
I know she's got more a processor that's at least 4.0 or higher. Okay. I know that.
Most people go with Alienware just because they're meant for gaming. They're meant for streaming.
Yeah, it's a game computer. Yep.
Yeah, and they have all the fast hardware and processing in there that you would need.
And
plus,
you can
the
buy
keyboard changes color.
Yeah.
Dude, I tell you what Paul did.
What?
I get back, we get back and whatever. A couple weeks later, he shoots me a thing. Hey, I'm sending that computer up to you. I'm like, oh, I totally forgot we had this conversation up at your house. This dude sends me an Alienware laptop.
Wow.
For streaming. I'm like,
but he was talking about that when you guys were here. He said,
yeah, because I was going to give Heidi mine because hers was acting like a prick.
I remember that. I remember that conversation. I remember you guys talking about that.
Yeah. And then he said, "Oh, I have another one down there that I don't use. It's a backup." Well, yeah, he sent it up, and I'd be damned. There it is. That's the one that's carrying the stream.
Both of you guys, everybody, great people. I mean, I cannot believe how well it went over. I sit back and I say, wow, did that just happen? You know?
I mean, that was, it's just, we couldn't ask for it to be any better.
No way. But you know what? I was thinking, if we get everybody here for at least a week, or like you guys came for 5 days, we've got to take a trip on an investigation or a paranormal thing, or go somewhere or do something. You know what I mean? Other than the SkyWatchers, of course, but maybe Al could take off a day and we go to Nuclear Lake.
Right.
You know, just do something while we're all together as a group. Because Heidi, she got freaked out with that whole bit build. Yeah. But imagine we were all together.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be awesome if we went on a paranormal investigation like that together. And believe me, I know people we could talk to. Linda Zimmerman, that's local. There are other people. And, you know, she knows that we're involved in this seriously. It's not like it's going to be a joke or we're going to take it as such. But we could really do something interesting and something different.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you're going to go for a week next year, you know.
Yeah. I mean, just to throw that out there, we'll see. And then we got to make a bowling night. We've got to go bowling. Oh, just take over the bowling alley. And like I said, I will... Brian's wife, I believe, she prints the shirts up, so we can get shirts made up and the whole thing. We could have a really good time, and we will, just like we did.
Absolutely.
So it looks like his weather is cooperating now. It looks like
it is looking beautiful.
Look at that shot. Oh, he's zooming in. He's going in.
That's what he does.
Yep. Amazing. And I do that from time to time on KGRA. I always talk about you guys, and I bring it up. And like I told you, if you're ever ready to go on a show, you let me know, and we'll get that done.
Absolutely. I'd like to kind of go on once when we get the site up and running. Maybe even all of us.
Yeah.
You know, Mark and me and you and Paul and the new guy.
Once and you know what? An hour easy could be taken by Mark talking about his background. You guys,
an hour.
Started.
Have you ever heard Mark talk?
Yeah, we need 2 hours. How we all got involved with doing what we're doing, and maybe we could get in this fourth person in on the Skype call for the live show and get him talking about what's going on in Australia or whatever. You know,
yeah. But that's a plan. I plan on talking to him this coming week. And then most likely, after I talk to him, I'll probably actually have you come in and join us on a talk, you and Mark, and just to get to know him. And then we'll let him free and see what he's got, because he's ahead of his astronomy group, and as I said, he's kind of like Paul. He has like 3 or 4 different scopes.
Wow,
including solar scopes as well. So,
well, it's always about a global effort. And like you said, it's not about the one, it's about the whole.
Exactly.
Just trying to bring a community together where you can see, different views from different areas, different locations.
And don't get me wrong, guys, you can do this now. You can go on a Cloudy Nights or Starry Nights or whatever it is, which is an astronomy site, where there's tons of people streaming all over the world. We're trying to do something a little bit different, being that, how do I explain this? Because we're not not one of us is doing everything.
Right.
Like me and Paul are sticking to, planetary objects, the moon, Jupiter and Saturn. You have Mark doing the deep sky stuff, and stars and educating people, out of their mind. And then you have you doing the complete sky view, which seeing satellites crossing, and I mean, it's just amazing stuff.
Yeah.
And that was the main reason we want to add the southern hemisphere in there, is because, I mean, we're missing half the sky.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So at least we'll get a little part of it, by having Australia in the
And you know how
fold.
many times I see on the news or on the net where Australia is having so much activity?
Yeah.
You get people, I see it all the time. I'm like, wow, look what's going on over there. I want to see what's going on all the time around as many locations as possible.
Which reminds me, whatever happened to Stargazer?
That's a good question.
I haven't heard hell or high water, in months.
That's a really good question. No, you're right. I hope he's okay.
Yeah, I mean, his last stream was like 4 months ago or something like that. Just kind of quit out of nowhere. He was doing it like all the time, and then all of a sudden, whoop, Yep.
Another thing too, and you definitely have attained this, is getting the global community going.
Mm-hmm.
People seeing this from all over the world, and we've had a fascination for thousands of years with the moon. It's in so many cultures, in folklore. There's so many references. Even the stories about the craziness that happens on a full moon. I mean, there's so much connected to the whole thing of the moon, and to see it in this scope, with this clarity.
Mm-hmm.
People, there are some people that live in climates that can't even see this half the time because it's either they're too cloudy or the atmosphere is not conducive to being able to see it like this.
It's kind of like what Paul said. He's like, the zooms attract people.
Yes.
When they first see it. The community is what makes them stay.
Yes. I agree.
So, I mean, the fact that we are, we'd be the first to admit that, this P&K space imaging is a heavily moderated channel. And there is reasons for that. Because of, our associations with educational, affiliates and whatnot.
Agreed.
We choose to keep it that way. But, it's just, sometimes I wish that we didn't, sometimes I just want to go off, what I mean? Which is why we came up with the whole a-hole astronomers thing. But you just want to just tell people, like, dude, stop being stupid, but you kind of hold back. But once again, I've gotten so many messages and comments about people saying that they enjoy it here because we keep the chat clean.
I agree. And so you want to keep it respectful because there's a family environment as well that's tuning in. I mean, I can see this right now on my Verizon cable service on channel, I think it's 891, no, 961, whatever it is. But I can go in my bedroom right now or right here in the living room and go on it and go on YouTube and watch this full screen on a 60-inch TV.
Mm-hmm.
So you can imagine how many people are able to do so right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter if it's 60 or 20.
And if we go into analytics, our TV viewing is going up. It's surpassing phones anymore. It's TV is becoming a big property in streaming. So, and once again, we don't want to discourage, we don't want to have somebody say that's 12 or 13 years old and might have an interest in astronomy coming in and seeing, all kinds of crap. We don't want to mislead them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the main reason that it's moderated the way it is.
No, I agree. And you have to do it that way.
Yeah.
It's the responsible way to go.
Right.
Obviously. That's you want to set the precedent too, and you want to set the bar. And you don't want to sway from that. You want to keep it to where, I could envision a scenario where right now people are sitting around their living room and looking at this maybe for the first time with their family and just saying, this is what the moon looks like.
Mm-hmm.
You see it in the sky. What
we have somebody that messaged me that said that on Friday and Saturday nights they're social people, so they have people over. They have wine nights and whatnot. 20, 30 people every weekend, and every weekend that we're on, they have us on their TV as the things going on. And they said sometimes you just get people that there's 10, 12 people just sitting around this couch watching the television, chit chat and whatnot, and watching our stream of the moon.
By the way, quickly, not to get off track, but Alexandra the Great wants to know what's the depth of those craters. How deep do you think approximately the maximum depth?
The maximum depth?
Yeah.
Well,
give us a range. It could be anywhere from such and such to what?
Well, the one you're looking at that we call the Fist of Fury, there with the big, looks like a closed fist kind of.
It does.
Yeah, you're looking probably at about 12 to 1,500 feet.
Wow.
You know, it doesn't look that deep from, you know, our perspective, but I mean, just look at the size of that. Put it this way, that wall. Actually, let me point it out with my mouse here, so you'll see it. This wall right here, from here to here. Okay, you're looking, and you'll see it come up on YouTube. But where my mouse is pointing, these two, from the top rim of the crater down to the bottom of the crater, you're looking at about, I'm gonna say,
miles.
11 miles.
Yeah, I thought so.
You know, so and you're going on a constant downward trajectory to the bottom of the crater to actually get into the complex crater and the uplift and whatnot. So, yeah, I mean, there's all different kinds of depths, you know, and the one way you can tell which ones are deeper than other ones is, of course, shadow size.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Now, as you see this little one that's below them, below these two big ones right here, and I'll highlight it with my mouse there, you know, that one's going to be deeper than what these two are. So, yeah.
It's amazing.
Depends. And I get questions all the time. Why are they all round? Why are there no, you know, weird shaped craters? And just so you know, there are. And right here's one of them. Right here's another one. Right here's another one.
Now, just for those that may not be aware of this, just break down why it is we cannot see the tracks of the rover, the lunar lander, the flag, etc.
Yeah, it all comes down to resolution. We can't resolve that image. The biggest Earth-based telescope on the Earth right now, and I hope I'm remembering this correctly, but the biggest one on Earth, if you were to point it at, say, the Apollo 11 site, that area, that entire area that they did all the experiments with and everything, would be 1/8 of 1 pixel. Now,
wow,
and they're talking about the largest telescope we have. Okay, now I did say this the other night. Now they could take all of the largest telescopes here on Earth and all point them towards the lunar landing sites, and yes, you could get an image out of that. But even then, it might only be 2 to 3 pixels. You know, so you wouldn't see detail. You'd see color differentials and whatnot, but you wouldn't see detail on that. But once again, if you do want to see it, for any NASA naysayers out there, and I'm sure there's plenty of them, you can go on to the LROC site, which is the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. You can go on to JAXA, which is Japan's. You can go on to the European Space Agency. They all have sent orbiters up and orbited the moon. And they're orbiting at about 22 miles. And at 22 miles, they have taken a picture of each one of the Apollo sites, and everything is shown exactly how it is. You know, so once again, if you think we faked the moon, I mean, somebody would have blown the whistle by now. You know, one of these countries would have, with absolute proof.
You're going to have somebody say, oh, it's a hologram. Of course it's going to be there.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
And that's when I go, ding, ding, cuckoo.
I think of that movie, Capricorn 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's when that's pretty much the whole thing. It was a whole fake lunar landing. You could stage it.
Well, it didn't help that Interstellar put that in everybody's heads too.
Yeah, but Capricorn was the one that's really, because that was made not that far after. It was in the 70s, I believe. Capricorn 1.
Yeah, look at that cone on that crater. You'll see it coming up here shortly. I'll highlight it with my mouse.
It almost, I see something like with ears. It's almost like a cartoon character, 2 big eyes, ears, and a long nose, like an anteater almost. I just saw.
It almost looks like an inverted crater. It's amazing.
Wow.
No, it's not a glass dome.
It's amazing.
Yeah, everybody says there's these glass domes on the moon, and there's, you know, these. I'm like, where are they getting all this glass from? Do you know the construction that would have to go into putting a glass dome on the moon?
I would not be surprised, though. I'm really curious to see when they do, because China's talking about doing it, and
yeah, but they wouldn't make it out of glass.
No. I'm just curious if they were starting to jettison craft to the moon to create colonies. Would we be able to see that through telescopes?
No.
No, right?
No. Unless, you know, it was really lit up.
Massive.
You know. You'd be able to see them from the LROC, once again, because it's only orbiting 22 miles above. But no, we wouldn't be able to see it. I mean, it'd have to be massive.
Massive, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm going to point this on the screen. This little crater right here, and once again you'll see it on YouTube. But this little crater right here, you're looking at 4 miles across. Now if you go on to say Google, Sky or whatever, or Google Earth, and do 3 miles across in your town or whatever,
So what might appear to look like a dash, a dark dash. Let's say if it was 400 feet long. You'd be lucky to see like a little dash on the screen moving. If it's a
not from this perspective, no. I mean, it wouldn't even be. You couldn't even resolve it. I mean,
no, you wouldn't see it.
I did a video way back on this channel that basically showed, like I did from span to span, like the White House from East Wing to West Wing. Okay, and that is basically an eighth of, or it's like 1/10 of a mile or something like that, and I did a comparison to one of the craters on the moon, showing at the exact same height from ground level, and you wouldn't be able to see the White House, at this perspective,
Aaron asks, how many UFOs have you seen on this feed? Now, there was one that was put all over the internet. It was on news. I mean, it was fascinating, that disc that you got, remember?
Yeah, the one that the guy from what's his name, Scott Waring, decided to run off with and start telling newspapers and stuff that it was a propulsion craft and all that stuff. We never said that, but I guess he ran off with it. But yeah, there's actually a playlist on the channel of the UFOs that we catch that we're not able to explain. We do think some of them are satellites, but we just can't find the data to cross-reference it to.
Now explain to them the specifics. I know what the answer is, but tell them why it looks almost like water, and you see that effect.
Oh, well, I can do you one better. I can let them read it for themselves. I just put it on screen for them.
Okay.
So yeah, so you can see it. It's the same principle. It's a humidity in the air. We're looking through Earth's atmosphere at an object in space. Earth's atmosphere is messing with our optics, which is why they have something now called adaptive optics, which actually shoots lasers straight above you and actually calculates and corrects for the imaging that you're seeing. Unfortunately, the adaptive optics that we were looking at and wanted, that we'd have to get a special scope for, is $23,000. So hopefully one day, but not any day soon.
Well, there's a couple of people that are coming in with some comments, and the thing as far as mining, yes, there are countries that are thinking about the rare earth elements that supposedly are on the moon.
But everybody's looking towards helium-3. They're looking for that for fission and fusion and propulsion. And if that does actually become a thing, you're talking there might be, I'm going to say, 50 tons of helium-3 on Earth. If that.
Is it exclusively, I think China has a...
And the moon, you're looking at about 500,000 tons.
Yeah.
So...
It definitely... If everything, that's the thing that makes me wonder too. If everything's about using up the resources, you would think that if they know it's all about the money, well, the money's sitting right up there in the sky.
Yeah, and that's why you're seeing a lot of. I mean, you're talking about India is getting in on the space race right now. They know that there's money to be made. I mean, you're talking about people looking at mining, asteroids because of the elements. Right. So. And yes, Alexandria, I did see your comment there. Yes, it's basically like we are looking through water because humidity is water, and
yeah, that's why I made that comment. She wanted to know why does it look that way, appear to be that way. Yep. But yeah, it's definitely something that I'm sure that countries are thinking about making that investment. It's going to cost a lot of money.
Yeah,
but it's going to pay dividends in the long run.
Oh yeah, I mean, once again, humans were just natural explorers. If we can find something, unfortunately we chase money a lot more now than we do exploration, but if they can explore and make money off of that exploration, then, but you're seeing these rich guys doing it. I mean, and that's, that's kind of impressive in my book. These guys are, they pretty much are saying we've done everything we can here. Your tech giants, your Bill Gates, your Elon Musk and whatnot, and they're looking towards space. Anybody with a bank account that is massively huge. I mean, you're talking about Facebook now is starting to talk about geostationary internet.
Yes.
You're talking about free worldwide high-speed internet brought to you by Facebook.
Well, they got to invest and definitely do the research for it.
Yeah.
Because, the research and development, that's what it's all about.
That is. And guess what? We used up enough, and these guys are smart enough to know that we used up enough land, building huge factories and stuff that, look, just name one of the rich guys on Earth, and all of them have their hands in some way in the space race, except for maybe, and this is not a knock on him, but I don't believe Donald Trump does. But he's not exactly on the rich people's list that I'm talking about when you compare him to Bill Gates and the guy from Mexico and, Jobs' family and all that from Apple and, all those guys, the guy from Amazon, a shopping website, made billions.
Yes.
What's he doing?
They got that Whole Foods now?
Yeah. And what's he doing? Blue Origin.
That's right. That's
right.
Yep.
Elon Musk started off with, wanted to make, electric cars. Guess what? What's he doing? Space.
And back-to-back successful launches.
Bigelow Aerospace.
Wrapping up.
Same thing.
Right. That's right.
So you got, the tech. They're dumping technology into humanity, hoping that somebody can lift the veil on some stuff that we have yet to figure out, and it's working.
And yes, this is live. And there's another interesting question TD brought up, and I'm thinking more about the historical aspect of the moon and these craters. He wants to know, why don't we see fresh, new impacts on the lunar surface?
We do.
But
there's just so many of them, and they're probably just so small. You're talking about all these big craters that you're looking at were caused during the heavy bombardment area, where there was just giant, comets and meteors just smacking the hell out of the moon. Where now, if you see one, it might be the size of a basketball. You won't see that.
Let me ask you this question, because that's what I was thinking too. That's why I said historical. Do you think a lot of this was during the formation?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm gonna say 95% of it was.
Yeah. And that's why you don't see it as much, because that's, like you were saying, that's when there was a lot of activity as far as a lot of rocky masses whizzing by and
it's called the heavy bombardment era, when all this and it was just the moon and even Earth was being just smacked to hell with meteors and comets and whatnot. Now you're going to say, well, why doesn't Earth look like the moon? Well, it does. The only difference is we have grass, we have water, covering most of it. We have machines that can plow dirt and make fields and you see them sometimes, and sometimes you're standing in one and you don't even know it. You can be in the middle of Nebraska and, standing in a very slight crater and not even know it, because it's, planted with corn, or, there's slight hills in the distance or whatever. They might be crater edges. So.
Yeah, I found that was a good question by TD. So, because I'm sure a lot of people wonder that as well. Why don't we see more activity, impacts on the moon?
I believe there was one caught a couple years ago that was a slightly bigger one. I'm not sure if it ever got validated as an actual meteor strike on the moon or not, but I think the video is on YouTube if you want to check it out. You can just search for it.
Yep.
So.
And it's weird, because when my boss called me, and I better check the network right now to make sure we're still on the air, otherwise that would not be a good thing. Yeah, we're still running. I gotta check once in a while. There was two things that he mentioned, and I don't want to say it specifically, so I'm going to keep it general. Two interesting things he noticed that went on already in Roswell as he arrived there yesterday. And this is Roswell, New Mexico. They're having the 70th anniversary of the Roswell incident that happened in 1947, of so-called crashed flying saucer or disc or UFO, whatever you want to call it. But anyway, they're having the 70th anniversary of that. But he said, Bill, a certain group appeared at the hotel. They checked in. And I'll say it. Yeah, NASA.
Mm-hmm.
They checked in. He also noticed an interesting presence of security. In gear.
In gear.
In gear. I don't want to get, like I said, until I get more specifics about what was going on. So
yeah, but here's my point of view
military,
on that.
Military, not police.
Okay.
Person.
Well, yeah, but truthfully, but here, look at it this way. It's 2017. What's the number one thing a lot of people are using to do videos and stuff now? Especially a lot of people that do like YouTube and whatnot. And everybody doesn't know I'm talking about drones.
Yep.
Now you're going to go and have a whole bunch of people coming into Roswell to celebrate this, and guess what's going to happen? There's going to be a ton of drones flying around.
Yeah.
And for security purposes, I'm guessing that they are going to want to keep an eye on these drones to make sure they're where they're supposed to be and not where they're not supposed to be. So I can see that being one. And of course, you got your day trips out to the gates at Area 51 and stuff like that. A lot of people will be doing, and they're just. I can see it. Them just hiding the.
I'm gonna cross this line and see what happens.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a private security company out of Area 51 that actually handles the perimeter security. So I can see them bringing in more people, just for the Roswell thing. But you never know.
Now that someone I just saw, I think it was Aaron. He brought an interesting point. Do the flat earthers think the moon is flat, or that's just a hologram? I mean, really?
I have no idea.
Or it's just a whole hoax in itself.
Yeah.
It can't be. That would be mass hysteria and mass hallucination. Yeah. But what is the explanation about the moon?
I'm thinking.
Do they
they think it's only 300 miles away or something like that.
But do they think it's flat too?
I don't know. Good question. Because I always ask that question about flat earthers. I'm like, okay.
I'm gonna joke. Why would that be round and us flat?
Yeah, I mean, you look at. I mean, you ask a flat earther, you're like, okay, you can look through a telescope. Mercury round, Venus round, the moon round, Jupiter round, Saturn round, Uranus round, Neptune round, Earth flat. Yeah, sure, it makes sense.
And we're the center of the universe.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Not to mention, they talk about the whole Antarctic wall all the way around the, I guess the disc or whatever, and it's and the military's keeping people away. I'm like, do you realize the size of the military that it would have to be to guard an ice wall surrounding a flat planet? You're talking one boat can handle maybe 10 miles of coastline. All right.
Yeah.
Somebody would have blew the whistle by now. I mean, you'd have to have hundreds of thousands of military people keeping you away from, the giant ice wall. But hey, what do I know?
And someone asked if you, of course, the answer is yes. If you can create a colony on the moon, and that's definitely going to be a future thing that some countries.
I think we're going to see that in our lifetime, depending on how old you are.
I agree.
I think it's going to be for research and whatnot. At first, it's not going to be it's not like you can take a vacation to the moon. That'll probably be in the next 200-300 years. But I do think there will be a moon base, unknown.
If they're going to mine, they're going to have to.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's going to be a known moon base. I'm going to say probably in the next 40 years or so. That's up there.
We have automated, unmanned, the ability to mine the moon and bring it back without having actual bodies on the surface to conduct the, for the machinery and operations. You would think they'd have to have some sort of
the plan now is to actually use the fuel. You know how the space shuttle had the big center fuel booster. The A.K.A red part of the space shuttle when it launched. They're looking at something like that they can land on the moon. So they actually take the booster, and once it's depleted, take the booster and actually land it or crash it into the moon, and then use it as a, say, a living space. Oh,
I know what you mean. I know.
I forget the exact term they used for it, but it actually was kind of making sense when I was listening to it.
I know it does make sense. You use the hull.
Yeah.
You use the interior. It's empty. I mean, it's just a shell.
And if Bigelow Aerospace, once again, if he puts the graphene to use, there's a good chance that Bigelow Aerospace will have a very big part to play with these inflatable domes that they've been working on, which are going to attach. I think they already attached one to the International Space Station. But if that happens, if they can send these flat pancakes up there, say in a shuttle-like, vehicle, and actually land it on the moon, and all they have to do is throw these pancakes out, hit a button, and they inflate into these giant domes. Well, guess what? Bigelow just secured his space or his place in time.
They can look. Let's just think of it as almost when the Apollo missions were going on. You can send a solid booster rocket with a payload on top of it that can go to the moon and then deposit itself with a chute, or obviously chutes, and just deploy itself onto the surface of the moon in a certain area. And then you have to get down there and put it all together. Mm-hmm. It's definitely doable. It's not like we don't have the capacity right now to do it. Right. I mean, all you've got to just do is drop it on the surface.
But Bigelow's is like, it's literally a 15 by 15 circle, and it has a couple gizmos on the end. And you literally hit a button, and this thing flips open every which way with oxygen from the tanks, and it actually makes I think it expands into a 30 by 30 dome, like a 30-foot across. Yeah. And the only thing that once they land, they would have to do is actually make a compression chamber so they can enter that dome. Mm-hmm. You have to have that balance of pressure from the outside to the inside, so they have to make a little compartment area where, it can depressurize and pressurize as needed. And that's what they were working on. They're not really worried about the actual dome itself. I mean, right. As I said, Bigelow pretty much has that covered. And once they start incorporating the graphene into that, because graphene is strong. You talk about the strength of carbon nanotubes. Graphene is, I think they said it was 100 times stronger than carbon nanotubes. So, I mean, as soon as this graphene was discovered, they were like, oh my, the space elevator is a possibility now. That gives us something strong enough to actually put an elevator to space. Working off of the spinning of the Earth to keep it in orbit. To keep the line tight, you know what I mean? Because, once again, graphene, it's the strongest thing, that we've found.
They have to also have the capability where you can intersect these sections through special material tubing that can connect each one where they can pressurize it, etc. It's not like you have to really worry about harsh environmental conditions on them.
It's more temperature.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's more, once again, and I hate to keep bringing it up, but graphene, once again, will block radiation. As I said, it's a be-all, end-all of stuff we have discovered. And it's something that we have plenty of. We have plenty of graphite in this world. And the only difference between graphite and graphene is graphite, and graphene is literally one atom thick of graphite. Now, they're going to have to stack those atoms. Obviously, you're not just going to do it with one atom layer because you never see it. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you do it at the size of a hair, it's going to be stronger than any material we've made on Earth. Just the thickness of a hair.
The moon, Mars, I really, really am looking forward to the mission to Europa. Mm-hmm. I really am curious to see the oceans underneath that ice sheet. If there is some type of life under that ice sheet near the volcanic activity there's got to be an area, a temperate zone.
You know what?
In the ocean.
I asked this question to the chat the one night, and I'm interested to get your opinion on it too. And I might have asked you on your stream, but I'll ask you again anyway. We were having this conversation one night, and it was basically 3 options. Okay, do you think that we should head straight for Mars and try to, colonize Mars? Do you think we should head to the moon and set up a base on the moon? Or do you think we should work on an orbital station that orbits the Earth where, we can get stuff, and actually build stuff in space around the Earth, and that way we don't have to worry about launching it or whatnot? Which one of those 3 options do you think is that we should be doing right now?
All right. Can I say short-term, long-term? Because then you would use 2 and 3. Because the short-term goal was, let's just put something on the moon, test it, make sure that it works before we even think about Mars. That's first of all, just because of the distance. Let's get this done on the moon first, please, to make sure that we have the science down, and we're not going to make a significant mistake. Literally 2 years away travel distance, where now lives are going to be in jeopardy no matter how you go about this. But it's closer to home, and then there's also the financial benefit of it to do it, and the science. And the communication being the proximity to the Earth, that to me is a no-brainer.
Myself and Mark chose that if we had to choose between the three, that we would choose a moon base before the other two.
Okay, so I agree with that. Now, as far as something revolving around the planet, the only way, long-term, you would think that would be the most feasible way to go is to build a space platform where now you can send up supplies in smaller shipments and construct in this platform in space, where now you can build things and you do not have to worry about the atmospheric effect of what it's going to cause to that craft.
Well, not only that, you don't have to worry about launching it.
That's what I'm saying. And the cost for that alone. Right. But here's the thing. If we're talking about just strictly for space travel, that makes sense. But what do they do down here that they're so protective of? And Mark talks about it all the time. And that's contaminating an alien world or alien surface or whatever it is. Right. They really go over and beyond to make sure that we're not going to, cause any kind of interferences, with our disease, bacteria, etc. We don't want to do that. Right. But if you're talking about building a ship, something that's going to go travel throughout the solar system, I would think that makes a lot more sense. The only thing I don't understand, and they worry about this all the time, is launching anything related to nuclear into space. That's a big thing.
But do we have an option? I mean, is that going to be the one thing that might be able to get us, up the speed that we need?
And the power.
Yeah.
The resource. But the thing is, you hear so much about ion. What's the other one? I can't think of the other one. Starts with a P. All these different propulsion systems. You got to think about speed, endurance, as far as how long is it gonna last. There's so many different things to take into the equation. But wouldn't a nuclear? But then again, if there's an accident. I mean, there's so many different.
Well, I mean, there's so much radiation in space now already. Is it really going to make much of a difference?
That's true, but I would think if we were thinking straightly, because solid rocket fuel is not going to do it.
No.
Solar to an extent. The sails they talk about, building these sails, and you hear so many theories, and I don't know. You can go any way with that. What's that drive that they're trying to
Albury drive. Yeah, I mean, that's looking like, and they're actually saying that actually might work.
Yeah, I've heard that. And Mark is the man to talk about all that stuff. You know that. That's the real science, and with his background, he's like the perfect source to go to information on that. But again, which is what would best serve our purpose? If we're thinking short term, we have an option. It's nuclear, nuclear energy. But how large would you got to remember how large of a drive, how big of a structure would you have to do? But then you look at a nuclear submarine or an aircraft carrier. They're able to do it,
right? But so it's about condensing that into thrust and propulsion, and being able to control it.
But look, here we go again. What sets precedence above all? The industrial military complex. You're telling me that they don't have the capacity and the resources to develop such, and if they haven't already, and we don't know about
it? But they're not gonna disclose that.
What's not?
Disclose the that budget if they do have the money to do it. You know what I mean? It's like they're not going to say, well, yeah, we could do that, and we'll just spend so many billions of dollars doing it because we have that. They're already using black budget stuff for.
Yeah. And by the way, Lara, Keith and I are really good friends. I do my SkyWatch of the sky, and Keith does this. We're just two friends having a discussion. Call it an interview. I would call it more of two guys, just good friends, just shooting choosing different topics to talk about and just going with it.
Yeah, we're just shooting the breeze tonight.
There you go.
Letting you guys be a fly on the wall.
Looking at what we're seeing on the screen, which is absolutely a great image. I gotta say, look at how sharp that looks.
Yeah, it's gorgeous tonight.
Look at that. That looks amazing.
And he said, so it'll most likely, Paul just said, so now we know it'll most likely be clear close to 10 o'clock Friday. So, if anything, we might go on around 10 or so.
Tomorrow?
Friday night. Yeah, well, yeah, today's Thursday. Yep. So, that's a possibility. And, of course, Saturday night, I'm going to try to get Amy Title on to chit-chat. But, yeah, I mean, this is peak viewing, and this is what we're hoping for. We were needing, you know, we're hoping for a good moon cycle this time because May's was just horrible.
Oh, with the weather?
Yeah. I mean, well, you know, we got up to your house, of course, later in the cycle, so which is why we had to do it in the middle of the night. But February by far was the best month. Or, yeah, the best month this year so far.
Oh, that's what I want to tell you. I will know more about Michio Kaku by September.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say. I'll know more by then.
Michio Kaku.
He would be great to come to Pine Bush. Oh, boy. Him and Mark together? Right. Oh. That would be. And he's from New York City, so. Yep. He's not working in the college right now. I am not going to disclose too much here because I can't. But hopefully we'll have an answer by September.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Can you imagine those two going at it? Can you just picture it? I can't. It would be something.
I think my head would explode.
Oh, that would be outrageous. I just want to sit there and have my jaw dropped wide open, listening in like awe.
Yeah, right.
Them going back to back, going back and forth. Oh, that, and sure, it would be great to get him on with Tyson if you could get it, and Mark at the same time. Yep. I'm gonna see if I can. Believe me, Pete, you know me. If I can make it happen.
I'm working on Tyson. I'm hoping that'll be sooner than later.
Yep. And I mean, look, you guys went to sleep when that's how normal it was here. That's how normal it was.
Sorry,
may not have been that normal, but there were normal moments. Keith and Paul went to bed at 9:30 at night to do a live moon stream the next morning when Travis Walton was here.
We're dedicated. What can I say?
I mean, Travis Walton was here, and these guys said, "What? Work first. We got to do our stream. Got to get it up." And they were out there, what, 4:30 in the morning?
It wasn't even about the stream. It's like we, just me and Paul are the same kind of person. We want to keep our eyes on the moon if we have a chance to.
Yes, but a dedication. It is. And let's not kid ourselves here. There's a lot of work involved.
Yeah.
It's setting up the equipment, getting everything. It's hardware, software.
Well, believe it's 10 times easier when we are at our own setups. Like I'm here with these 6 screens in front of me, watching 10 different things go on. But with Paul, see, when he's down in Miami, it's like literally he can take his scope out, 30 feet and align it real quick, and boom, he's on. Where of course, when we're out somewhere, he's got to bring it out, put it all together. So I mean, there's a lot more that goes into it. And then you got to get a signal, and then you got to find somehow to run the internet, and then you got to. So I mean, it's a lot more difficult. But when we can be up and running in literally, I'm going to say 10 minutes. From the time we decide to do it to the time we go live, we got it pretty much down to 10 minutes.
Can you imagine how he's got it set up in his location?
I've seen it.
Have you?
Yeah. He sent me pictures of it and everything.
It's got to be incredible. I can only envision, picture it, and it's got to be remarkable because I think he's got spots on the ground where he puts this there, and like he's got everything coordinated to where all he has to do is place this here. He's got marks.
I think he said the only thing he has to do, because he has them right inside the door, is literally he'll take the scope out, hit his marks with it, align it real quick, and then he controls everything from inside.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because he has all the extension wires and everything. So he goes in to his office there, and then he has his computer there and the screen, you know, the big HD screen, you know, and all that stuff. So, but he still has to be running in and out constantly, you know, adjusting and whatnot, like focusing and all that stuff. So, yeah, I definitely got the easy job out of the two of us. Put it that way.
And for those that may have an interest in live streaming, really all you need is the proper camera that's going to go attached to your telescope, and you just have to have a capture card and the cabling and the software on your computer. But OBS, there's so many out there that you can use as your platform. Yep. Wirecast, OBS, what's some of there's a few others, but that's all you need. Yeah, XSplit. That's the other
one takes some computer space, buddy. Whew.
Oh yeah, I won't touch that one.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of getting the proper cables, the camera, and of course an external or internal capture card. That is a must.
Well, I'll tell you what. Paul just sent me a message. We're gonna go to about 11:20 or so.
Okay. And are you doing this tomorrow night?
Yeah, if it's clear. Yep.
Call me up.
Sounds good.
Because I'm going to be running replays on the radio network.
Just tomorrow, or are you doing that Saturday?
No, the whole weekend. The only day I may have to go live is, like I said, Sunday from 12:45 to 2:45. They're going to have the panel speaking at Roswell, and we're going to try to take it and pick it up live for KGRA.
Okay, and I do want to make a point to everybody that's watching right now. Of course, this is not everybody's favorite view that we're looking at right now, but we're going to catch something flying by, this is the view that it happens.
Oh,
most times. So you definitely want to keep your eyes peeled. They can be very tiny, or they can be, you know, pretty noticeable. But if we're going to see anything, this is the view that we're going to see it on.
And is Paul listening and watching?
I have no idea.
Well, Paul, if you are, you freaking rock. What a great job on the visual aspect here of the moon. Incredible as always.
Yeah.
Awesome. I mean, look at this view. Again, Keith, there are times when you're streaming. I may not be in chat, but I'm laying down comfortably in my bedroom. And I got that in my 60-inch TV in my bedroom. And I'm just looking at it and chilling out, because I'm going to tell you, when you the larger, I mean, I'm just saying this, the larger the screen, the more spectacular it looks.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? He has one of the best tracking mounts out there. I mean, look at that. I mean, it looks like a photo.
Yes, it does.
You don't even see the movement. I mean,
no.
That's how smooth it is. We have a... Oh, did we get it?
No.
Oh, I don't know if it was something or not. Maybe it wasn't.
Well, you know what I got to do if you do.
Well, I just brightened it up. So it's going to be a little overexposed, but it's going to be a lot easier to see something if it comes by. So for anybody in the chat watching, so it's going to be a little bit brighter, but you'll definitely see something if it crosses. I was looking at something going across the Terminator line down there. I didn't know if it was, maybe it dove off into the. I don't know. Maybe I was just seeing stuff. I should have been paying attention.
We could always go check it back when. The
The 11:05 minute. Let me write that down real quick. 11:05 at Terminator. It's during that minute sometime.
Quickly, if you do have a telescope and you're willing to do this, and it's good if for a good camera. And remember, you can go to all these telescope sites. There's telescopes.com. You can go to all the ones that sell the cameras. Get the proper camera for your telescope, first of all. Also, again, the capture card, external, internal, whatever. Just you need a capture card that's going to have best scenario HD out on that camera that's going, because you definitely want HD quality.
And I should mention that you will not get this because these are custom made cameras that Paul actually has a guy in Canada make for him, which he actually bought 2 of them when we were up at your house, Bill. And he got them shipped down in. So, but there are ones that, I mean, you can get AMCAP, or you can get basic ones for like $30-40 that'll do just fine if you're looking at the moon, or that'll help you resolve. Even with, like, I always tell people, like, they're always worried about, I got to get that scope, to You know, Paul's working with an $8,000 system here. You know, it's not just some run of the mill telescope, but you could go get a normal, you know, 3, 4, 5-inch telescope with a normal AMCAP capture on, you know, camera, you know, a normal Celestron Sky camera that they sell, and you could be looking at the moon pretty much, you know, just like this easily. You know, you don't have to spend the big. The reason why he does is because, as you saw, when we go to the big scope, that's where that camera and its optics pay off.
Well, you know, you put a bug in my. Oh, I thought I was saying something's yelling outside my house. I bought a big projector screen, big, massive, and I got a projector.
Nice.
And I already tested it with the camera, going into the HDMI in on the projector. It's gonna be awesome when I do live SkyWatches. I just need to bring my generator if I'm like out in the field.
Saturday night, you're having a party, right?
Yes.
So you should set it up, and then we'll be live, and we'll just stream the moon for your party.
I can. Oh, wait. How would I do that? I would have the HDMI out the signal coming from. Yeah, I could do it. I can do that.
I'm just saying, it's a little idea if you want something different. What kind of party is it? Birthday?
Nah, you know, it's a barbecue for the 4th of July.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And happy 4th to everybody.
Happy 4th of July to you Americans.
A lot of people, believe it or not, are working the Monday. Some people are fortunate to have that 4-day.
Yeah.
But it falls on the Tuesday, and a lot of people go back to work the Wednesday.
I am dreading traffic coming out of Annapolis tomorrow afternoon. Wow. Everybody hitting the Bay Bridge, and I'm just going to be... I think I'll live stream my ride home tomorrow.
Yeah,
because it's going to be absolutely nuts.
But the thing is, like, if I do SkyWatches for the area, for Pine Bush, I've got the equipment now. Or when we're partying here, when everybody's here, and I could just put my camera out, focus to the sky, and have that big screen parked outside, and, you know, it'd be fun. It's just an added attraction.
Yeah.
Just to see it, instead of looking up, seeing everything on that screen on an 8-foot by 6-foot projector screen. And I bought it with the stand. So, nice. Yeah, I said, you know what? If I'm going to do this, I got to do it right.
What kind of projector?
Oh, I got it on eBay. It works, though. I got it for a good price.
Yeah.
It's an HD.
It's an HD projector?
Yeah. Oh, are you kidding? You have to. Sweet. HD with the 2 ratios. The 4.3, what is it? The 4, and the 4.3, and yeah, so you have the long view, and it fits the entire screen. You want that, and it's also about, you know how it is with a projector. You got to get a certain distance away from the screen.
Yeah.
But luckily it has a focus on it.
Yeah, that's the way mine is. I mean, I've had mine 30 feet away and cast it 30 by 30.
Yeah.
You know, on a huge building, and it worked great. So.
Yeah. But I don't. You know, I'm surrounded by trees, so I have to. And so are you, by the way.
Well, I'm surrounded by trees.
Aren't you? On your property?
I have a couple.
You got big.
I can get away with yeah. I mean, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I got about 8 that go around the house, but then I got the lot out back.
But are there any structures near you? Like you could put it like on a wall of a building or something like that?
Oh, yeah. I can shoot it at a barn. Across the field. Scare the crap out of some Amish people. I thought about it, too. You know those nights where you get those really low, fast-moving clouds?
Yes.
I thought about like getting a CGI image of like a UFO and pointing the projector upward onto the clouds and see what happens.
Forget it. Now you kind of the 1934 invasion.
Yeah. All of a sudden, all these Amish guys be coming across with pitchforks, and
I'll see it on the news. Wide panic spread by projector screen.
Englishman beat to death by Amish mafia.
Oh my God! Oh God! And that's the one thing I gotta say. Your sense of humor, I couldn't stop at times. It was just too much.
Heidi almost peed herself.
When you got the flashlight, you started doing the lightsaber, and then there's one part where you do 20th century. I was dying. With the flash, because that flashlight is really powerful that I have.
Tell me, I'm blinded myself.
Oh no! Great.
Jesus.
So yeah, hopefully you'll be streaming tomorrow and Saturday with Amy, correct?
Correct. Hopefully with Amy. We'll see what the schedule looks like. I said we're on a hit and miss with her because we had it lined up for last Saturday, and the weather shot that one off. So we're gunning for this Saturday hopefully, and then after that we have Fraser Kane from Astronomy Cast also coming in. So yeah, it's going to be eventful, and then we do have some surprise people hopefully coming up soon as well. So you never know. I'm just going to stop announcing them. I'm just going to start putting their names in the titles when they're on. And
yeah, no, that's something that you could. It's good that you let people know what's coming, though.
Yeah, those two were definitely they're booked, and I got confirmed by both of them. And they know the deal with the weather, and that I don't really have a great amount of time to give them a heads up. And as I said, I told them both in the email. I was like, hey, if it turns out that you can't do it on a short note, I said, don't worry about it. We can always just do it again some other time. So, that's kind of what we're planning on.
You got me pretty excited about August 21st for that full solar eclipse. That's going to be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy! Oh boy! I just hope. I hope the weather cooperates.
Yeah, that's man.
That's the thing.
I mean, we're talking about Tennessee in the middle of summer.
How far drive is that for us?
Well, for me, it's about. For me, it's going to be about 8. So for you, probably 11.
Wow, Mark, take it turns.
You leave at 6 in the morning, you'll be there by 7 at night.
Yeah. I'm an early bird, so.
Well, he's got to go into Kansas or Kentucky first and drop that dome off.
Oh.
And then, which I don't think is that far into Kentucky, because you have to pass through. Like if you come down 81, you have to pass the. Yeah, why not?
I mean, I'm sure now that means he's going to take his truck in order to take the dome because it ain't fitting in Bill's Rogue. So.
I can see you guys like Dumb and Dumber coming down 81 with this huge dome on top of a little SUV.
Where I won't hold my 50,000 times.
Mark in his Clem outfit, fitting right in with the logo.
Don't even go there. I'm gonna start cracking up. You just put that image in my head.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a must.
Yeah.
That's just a must.
I mean, once again, it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing.
It is.
So,
and I would love to take that trip and just enjoy the ride and the whole thing.
Yeah, make a whole weekend, extend a weekend basically out of it, for the hell of it. You know what I mean? When we're going down there for something that's going to last, 6 minutes.
Genghis said Dome and Domer.
Dome and Domer.
That's pretty good, actually. Oh man! So, any other things upcoming? Like, what's the schedule with this moon now for the next, couple weeks?
Hold on, let me check the thing. Yeah, we should be good until. Usually we go a couple days after full.
Okay.
We'll do the full moon, even though we hate it.
Yep.
We'll do it just because a lot of people like looking at a full moon for some reason. We do. Paul has a way of getting edges on a full moon now that he wasn't doing before, but he can get some edge detail in there. And for anybody who wants to know why we don't like full moons, are the worst for imaging. I mean, everything's just so overexposed. It's direct sunlight. You can't see any detail, any craters or anything like that. So it's just everything's just like whitewashed.
Yep.
But he has a way of getting around the edge now where we can actually see some stuff. So. We'll do the full moon, and we'll probably do 2 or 3 streams after the full moon. Once again, weather permitting. But
any alignments, any planetary alignments, or anything special going on other than the moon? And
to be honest, I haven't even checked. I mean, usually I do that after the moon cycle because the moon is our #1 priority. Okay. So once that, as once we start heading, towards new moon, we start doing the Jupiter Saturn streams. Which we've been doing for the last couple weeks. On clear nights when we can.
The shadows of clouds. That's cloud cover going from time to time through the area. Also, they are working on Neil deGrasse Tyson. That's in the works. So for those asking about that, also just a little for my end, KGRA will be covering Roswell conference that's going on this weekend. You can go to roswellincident.com. We're going to do a live segment for sure Sunday from 12:30 Eastern time to say 3 o'clock Eastern time.
And is it all right to carry that feed on the if we do a solar stream?
Yes.
Nice. So if we do a solar stream Sunday, we'll carry that on.
No, it jaws when he says, he asks him, well, can you do that? Because they wanted to open the shark. Remember when they're going to go? He says something like, of course I can. I'm the chief of police. Well, I'm not. I'm the chief. You could say I am, other than the boss man himself, Race. I am the man that produces KGRA.
You can make or break a career.
I mean, if Race gave me the go ahead, he said, tell them they can carry the stream anytime. So, except for what I told you.
Right.
And so that means yes.
Well, there you go.
I mean, we could be having it now, but we had a good time talking, and I really enjoyed being here with you, and I'm glad you asked me to come on.
Yeah, because I haven't talked to you in forever. You know, since we were on the other night. You know, when you did your one stream. When do you plan on streaming again? If you get a clear sky, that is.
My computer is really working hard with the KGRA thing going on right now.
Yeah.
And I don't want to. You know what I mean? I have to be mindful about the stream getting a lag or a drop or. So that's
there might be hints of a second computer coming in.
Oh boy, that's all I need. More equipment in front of me. But I probably I'm gonna have the network till Tuesday, and maybe. But see, then it's back to work again. Friday, Saturday, Sunday streaming. But I really would like to start streaming live while I'm producing for these shows.
Mm-hmm.
But then sometimes I'm multitasking so much that not only am I producing the show, talking on the show, then I got to worry about the equipment outside, the audio overlapping or echoing or not recording, or it can be overbearing and overwhelming.
Right.
So I try to focus on the one to make sure that whatever I'm focused on, I'm going to do it right. But the Perseids is coming.
Mm-hmm.
So that's mid-August. That's the peak. I think the 12th. But you always had the lead in and the lead out. So I'm probably going to be streaming heavy starting sometime toward the end of July into mid-August.
Awesome. And once again, for anybody that's just joining us on here, joining me live is Bill, New York SkyWatcher. And I'm pretty sure there are mods posting the links to his channel in the chat as we speak.
They are.
Yeah.
Rockstar's on it.
We have kind of a network going on with P&K, which is us, and Bill and Mark D'Antonio with Cantore live stream. So, and once again, we all kind of do something different. Bill does the complete sky views, where we catch a lot of stuff flying in and out. And of course, great chat as well. I mean, he usually has the Skype open, and a lot of people chit-chatting. Here, of course, we take care of the planets and the moon, and Mark just... What doesn't Mark cover? I mean, he'll take you on a tour, and you'll be taking pictures of galaxies and, you know, dual star systems, and talking about the TRAPPIST systems and everything in between. Usually, I mean, each one of us usually do a lot. I mean, ours are usually this time of the moon cycle. We're usually an hour or two, and sometimes on the weekends 4 to 5 hours. Bill, when he streams, he goes for a whole shift. We're talking 8 or 9 hours, easy.
The thing is, with Mark's channel, if you ever were thinking about going to college and paying for a course in astronomy, don't waste money.
No.
Go to Mark's channel.
Exactly. I mean,
you're going to get the whole course right there in front of you.
There is no way that you go to Mark's channel and don't learn something.
Oh, for sure.
He just has that way about him where you're just going to listen to him. And you might not even realize you're listening to him, but you're learning something. And he's just that type of person, that kind of educator. That's why we highly recommend his channel. If you want to take a tour of the night skies.
And doing an amazing, awesome, tremendous job over there with Mark.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is the thing. It's so awesome that we have this network and this community, because I see a lot of familiar faces here in chat that come over to mine and Mark's. You know, we have that great base, and it's just so awesome when you're able to do these streams and share it with someone. To people that have the same passion. Of course, you know, from time to time you're going to get, you know, the very few ones that come in and just make some outlandish comments, and but in generally speaking, there are such knowledgeable, great people in the chat room, and I'm sure that the people that are watching are just as interested. They're in it to see what, you know, they're just as interested in seeing what's going on with the moon and the discussions surrounding it and other topics. But again, it's just great to have this experience and to share it with everybody. And we've got, you know, these people are quite intelligent. They ask great questions. Yeah. They're very involved. It's not. It's awesome.
We've got very smart subscribers.
Yes, knowledgeable. And another thing too, of course, and I say this all the time, of course there's going to be points where we say something and you may not agree, but that's what it's all about. Right. It's opinions, and
it's a discussion. It's not, exactly. You know, it's a discussion.
And we love to see other people's opinions and their expressions and getting you involved in the discussion as well, because that's what makes it so much more interesting, and getting everybody interactively involved into this. Right. Because again, that's what it's about too. Ask your questions, ask away. If we have the answer, we'll tell you, and if we don't, we'll tell you that too. Yep. But that's what it's about, coming here and expressing yourself. And you may not be able to do it in another environment, but here you can, as long as you keep it respectful and don't go off on some wild tangent, and, you know, try to keep it somewhat logical, grounded, and not so outlandish. And yes, yep, it will be addressed.
And pretty soon, all three channels will be under the same hood on a certain website, and we'll bring you more details when that happens. So, with that being said, we're gonna wrap it. We're gonna wrap for the night. Bill, thanks for coming on, buddy.
Yep.
Good chatting. Hopefully, maybe even tomorrow night you might join us if you got all your stuff done that you needed to get done.
I'll let you know. Thank you again for having me on with you.
Absolutely. So everybody, if you want more of this amazing radio voice at the other end of mine, head on over to BillNY SkyWatcher's channel and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the bell. And that goes for this channel as well. If you want to be notified when we go live, because it's not always the same time, make sure you hit the bell and get it done. And once again, thanks to the mods. Yeah, everybody have a good 4th of July. Thanks for tuning in. I'm going to leave it on for a couple minutes just as we go out. So, yeah. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow. See you later, Bill.
Later, Keith.
Actually, I'm going to keep you on as we go out, and I'll chit-chat once we go off the air. So, all right, guys. Thanks a lot, everybody. We shall see you later. Good night.